is live. Initiate.
Excellent!
I'm not interrupting anything, am I?
Bogus.
Are you telling me that you built a time machine? Out of a DeLorean?
My name's Norman Bates.
Oh, man, I'm so excited. I'm Yvonne.
Merry Christmas, movie house! We came, we saw, we kicked his ass.
I'm just not the hero type, clearly.
Everything's under control. Situation normal.
Oh, well. Let me go in and say hi.
Hail to the king, baby.
Hello, hello, hello. It is Sunday, January 24th, 2021, and you have made it to the PJCN Sunday Evening Unwind. Now, let me address the elephant in the room right off the bat. No, we cannot top the craziness of last week's tonight, nor do we intend to.
What is an unnight?
Unwind. I've already started. Unwind tonight. Unnight is when you combine the words unwind and tonight. It's a portmanteau.
Okay.
I thought
perfect.
we discussed this.
No. I missed that memo. I'm sorry.
Yes. So, no. Last week was a rare unwind. It was chaotic and hilarious. There was something in the air.
I can't believe
of
it
all
happened.
of our shows, the Unwind is not necessarily the one I would say go back and watch if you missed it, but last week's, go back and watch it if you missed it. I got trapped in the internet. It was
Brandon Hanna hacked
Brandon Hanna.
I don't know.
Anyways, so look, tonight is a very special, very focused episode of the Unwind. Instead of a normal, relaxed sort of chat show, we are doing a Survivor Island to determine our top 10 favorite episodes of the U.S. The Office. We have an incredible panel, and we are going to introduce our panel soon. But before then, PJ and I are going to go through a couple of things we have coming up on the network, including a couple fun announcements. How's that sound, PJ?
Sounds great to me. Let's do it.
Awesome. So tomorrow night, as you know, we have patrons, we have executive producers. One of the perks of an executive producer is getting to pick a watch along, and our illustrious, wonderful, stalwart executive producer Brandy Parker has picked a film that we're going to watch tomorrow night that holds an incredibly special place in the heart of our namesake, Mr. Patrick Campbell. It is The Rocketeer. This is one of PJ's all-time favorite movies. It's available on Disney Plus. That'll be at 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern tomorrow night. And by the way, for those of you who are patrons, I put a poll in the chat or the patron board. We are thinking of in February starting to adjust our timing a little bit and starting our shows a little earlier. Maybe not for everything and probably not on the weekends, but during the week it's just getting a little late on the East Coast to do these shows, so we may just adjust it up by half an hour. And I bring that up now because Tuesday is finally the premiere of Book Nook. This has been a long time coming. This is hosted by myself and Dwayne Burke. We hope you have all had a chance to read The Runes of Gorlan, the first book in the Ranger's Apprentice series. This show is going to start at 6:30 Eastern, 9:30 Pacific. I'll be sure to tweet that out, but be sure you're here a half hour early because we want you all in the chat engaging and talking about this book that I personally love very much and can't wait to talk about it. Then Wednesday night, Suddenly Soundtracks is back. It's actually episode 51. Not episode 50 because we did a surprise episode last week, but this is Rent. And this was also a patron request. If you are a $25 patron, you get to pick a monthly Suddenly soundtrack. So this was selected by Brandon Buckingham. We're going to be joined by Ellie and Chris and PJ and our special guest, Preston Max Allen, who you guys know if you watch the network. He's a composer himself, wrote We Are the Tigers, Carrie 2, the unauthorized parody musical, the Christmas musical that I produced on Zoom last month. It's going to be a lot of fun going through Jonathan Larson's classic 90s musical. Then Thursday, that's right. What's Thursday, PJ?
Front Center Mez is back, baby.
Front Center Mez is back. We're actually doing 2 episodes this month like we're supposed to because I just have all these exciting guest books. So on Thursday at 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern, we're doing Front Center Mez with Lance Rubin. Now, Lance is awesome, and this is going to be slightly different. So yes, Lance has a background in theater. I'm sure you all have heard about Broadway Bounty Hunter time and time again. It's a show I produced. We've had many guests on it, from actors to the composer, etc. Lance Rubin co-wrote the book, which is like the script / dialogue for Broadway Bounty Hunter. He has also been a performer and actor for a long time. However, we're going to do a slight curveball because Lance is now a very accomplished and popular young adult novelist. He wrote 2 books in the same series, Denton Little's Death Date and Denton Little's Still Not Dead. as well as Crying While Laughing, a fantastic young adult novel that takes place in the world of high school improv and deals with all sorts of other stuff. I love that book especially. So we will be talking to him about his theater background, his acting background, and also, God, who are these guys? He also wrote a book. There are these YouTube guys, and I can't remember. I want to get it right. Give me 1 second.
Well, I hope everyone's having a good Sunday so far, and you've had a good weekend. Chat, how are you? Sorry we didn't have a watch along on Friday. It was a long weekend. We all just needed a little bit of a break.
Anyways, we'll talk about it. I can't remember, but he co-wrote a book with these two popular YouTube personalities. I can't remember their names. I'm remiss, but that's going to be another great episode of Front Center Mez on Thursday. Then Friday, we have another executive producer patron pick watch along. We are doing Before Sunrise, the first film in Richard Linklater's Before trilogy. I adore these films. I hope a lot of you who haven't seen it come and watch it. It's incredible. It's on the more serious side from what we normally do for our watch-alongs. It's tend to be a little more fun, but I have a lot to say about it.
Yeah, and it's a great movie, so I can't wait to watch it.
It really is. And then, of course, Saturday, we're sorry we had to cancel the water cooler chat this pack Saturday, but on Saturday we'll be discussing both episodes 3 and 4 of WandaVision. Finally, as I kept mentioning, we have a Patreon. Check it out. See if there's a tier that's right for you. And I have to shout out all our wonderful patrons, our producers, Anton Putra, Bedora, Chris Pokernoy, Jake Berlin, Mike K, Molly Damon, Patricia Carrillo, She-Raw Potato, Stephen White, The Youth Critic, and Tyler Birch, and our executive producers, Brandy Parker, Brandon Buckingham, and Ricardo Franco. I feel like every week we just get more and more producers. It keeps growing and growing. I'm going to run out of room on graphics for all your names, or they're going to be so small I can't read them. But that's a good thing. Thank you for your continued support. We could not do this without you.
Yeah, thank you guys so much.
Yes. Without further ado, let's bring in some of our guests. So some of our guests are regulars around here who really love The Office. First, you know him because of his mohawk and his accomplishments in the movie Trivia Schmodown and his love of fermented hops and wheat and other sort of things. He's going tonight by the moniker Bell Schnickel is Nigh. It's Timothy Franco.
Perfect opportunity because Gallifrey's about to bark. There it goes.
Perfect timing.
So,
I mean, he wanted to say hello. I get it.
He wanted to make the announcement. So, hello. I love The Office, and I'm ready to duke it out and come up with our top 10. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, I'm here, so it can only go smoothly.
Look, when Tim is here for Survivor Island, chaos follows, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I'm still mad about Jingle All the Way. Next, we have another wonderful guest. She is a stalwart of the network, one of my favorite people in the world. She is my personal favorite meme queen. Tonight, she is going by the moniker Serenity by Jen.
Hi, Jen.
It's Miss Jen Kemp.
Hi, everybody. So yeah, I'm a big fan of The Office, and I honestly think this one's going to be pretty easy because honestly, there's only one episode that I'll be mad if it's on the list, and it probably will be brought up just because Tim's on. So yeah.
I think I know what you're talking about, and there might be some surprises. I don't know. Okay, finally, our very special guests. It's a real coup to get them on the network. No, I'm just kidding. They're good friends of ours. They are happy to collaborate with us. I love watching their content. You should subscribe to their channel if you haven't. It's Late to the Party. Here we have Vanessa and Robert.
Aloha and welcome.
Hey, Robert, you're muted.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, I'm just glad to be here. You know, I'm glad you had Vanessa and I on tonight. You know.
Robert, when did you become Canadian or Irish? I'm not sure which.
I've always been Irish.
You look a little different, Robert.
What are you talking about?
Well, for one, your beard is much thicker than normal, and also you're Irish.
No, this is normal. See, look, I even have a family photo of us at the spectacular.
Oh boy.
Good times.
What's happening?
Oh, I'm a little confused.
You are not Robert.
He is Robert. You guys seriously never noticed? Good for you not seeing stuff.
I've always been Irish.
He's always been Irish.
Oh boy. I'm gonna have to reevaluate everything I thought I knew.
Yeah, this is hurting my head a little bit, guys.
Well, I'm a little flummoxed because that's very clearly not Robert, and yet there he is.
Look!
It's an
Angela
imposter.
Dashes. Top of the morning to us. Frankie's prose is funnier than a pot of gold. Say I. Yeah, no, I was late. I had to send in that's Irish me. When I have a little too much, the beast comes out. The red beast over there.
The resemblance is
not great.
The resemblance is striking.
Imposter Robert does have a great beard, though. I do agree with that.
I wish imposter Robert, or am I imposter? Is he? I wish Irish Robert would stick around.
This is the imposter.
Well, I didn't plan the whole me leaving the stream after my gag, so I guess.
Bye, Sean. All right, so before we get started with the game, and when we get started, PJ is going to drop his camera, and he's just going to be sort of like our omniscient narrator. I would love just to go around and everyone talk a little bit about when they first started watching The Office, what it means to them, why they love it so much, etc. Why don't we start with you, Tim?
I started watching The Office, I want to say like the first 3 seasons had already aired. And a coworker back when I was working as a student at the medical library on campus, one of my coworkers got me into it. And then it was off and running after that, and I watched every other season as it aired. But it's the show that I always just have on generally. I've watched it from beginning to the end countless times. Like I can't even, before it even went off Netflix, I watched it twice in like a span of like 2 months. I watched it through all the way through. I'm missing having it on Netflix, and I haven't actually got Peacock yet, so I've kind of been living without it for a couple of weeks. But
it's worth it for The Office.
But I will. I'm going to get Peacock for The Office. I've just been kind of like trying to go cold turkey. I'm going cold turkey a little bit off it. So, I'm a giant fan. I love it. I think it's hilarious. I think it's got a lot of heart. It's got great characters. Yeah, I mean, what's not to love? It's great.
Yeah. How about you, Jen?
I believe the first time I watched The Office was actually because I was in an ethics class, and there was a specific episode that was shown to the class. And I think once we get along here, it will be mentioned at some point. You probably can guess which one it is. But yeah, from that, I just loved it instantly. So I went back and watched it from the beginning. And yeah, it's just one of those things of, since it hit syndication, like it's on cable, like at any given point of the day. So that's one of those things of, if I'm doing something else, I'll just have it on the background. So yeah, it's just a bunch of great characters. I did see someone mention that Parks and Rec is great in The Office, which I kind of agree with in the chat. But yeah, it is still a fantastic American sitcom. Never going to get sick of it. So yeah, I haven't gotten Peacock yet, but I have plenty of the DVDs that I can pop in at any time. So.
And for what it's worth, RE Parks and Rec, I think we're definitely going to do one of these for Parks and Rec down the line. But we have to have James and Teresa on that because they are by far the biggest Parks and Rec fans I know. So what about you, Robert? What's your story with The Office?
I watched it as it came out. I did not dig it, like season 1. For me, it just didn't hook me in, but I had watched The British Office as well. So for me, it was like, the attempts to Americanize British property, sometimes it just doesn't translate. And for me, it was like I could see potential, but at the same time, I didn't have like the celebrity recognition with Steve Carell yet until I really went double down on 40-Year-Old Virgin and Anchorman and all that. Like once I established that and went back to watch, I think it was the first 3 or no, I got the Dinner Party was already out. So Dinner Party was where a friend of mine was like, "You're not watching The Office, you need to watch it." Sir Tone at the Movies on Instagram. Tony, we worked in the back room at Target. We used to talk all about TV shows. And he told me, you need to go back and watch it, and you need to get to Dinner Party. And when a friend typically now tells me, you just have to get to this point, I do it because there's a reason why it's a pinnacle. And he said, you just got to get to Dinner Party. Watch Dinner Party. And that absolutely sold me from there. From that point, just watched it straight on all the way through until the end and have not stopped since.
Good.
What about you, Vanessa?
I didn't get into it until like season 6. I had a friend at work who absolutely loved The Office, and they were like, "You have to watch it. You have to this is the show." And I was like, "No, I don't know." And I watched like a couple of this. They hand me their DVD. They're like, "You gotta watch it." And then I watched like season 1, and I was like, "I don't know." And then eventually, as it started, I was watching it like as it came out for like season 7 and then 8 and then 9, and then went back to it for Netflix. That's when I really started to love it. That's when I could watch it forever and ever on Netflix, and now on Peacock. And if you have Comcast internet, you already have Peacock.
Yeah, that's true. Actually,
Tim,
you're muted.
Even just the internet? I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, if you just have the internet, you have access to it.
Oh,
damn boy, you got a Peacock tonight.
Yeah, so the summer of 2006 was the summer after my freshman year of college. It was right after the second season had finished, and my friend, who I knew he and I were going to get an apartment together off campus, he messaged me and was like, "Well, you got to watch this show called The Office." And I had nothing to do that summer. I was working construction, but it was from like 7 a.m. till 3 p.m. So I had every afternoon and evening free. So I downloaded the whole first and second season on iTunes. I watched it all in like 2 days, and I loved it. It was easy to get through the not great first season, even though I do think the first season has a few good episodes. And basically from the start of season 2, I was hooked. And then season 3 and on, I watched every episode live. So for the majority of its run, I have also gone back and watched it over again countless times. And the funny thing about it is, for a show that like deals so much in cringe humor or making the audience uncomfortable, I personally find it to be a real comfort show. Like, I find comfort in the uncomfortability. So like, as long as it's not happened to me, I'm gonna laugh at you guys in these awkward situations. As Tim said, it has a lot of heart, a lot of lovable characters, great romances, etc. And I think, because spoiler alert, I think I'm the only one that's seen everyone's list because I helped coordinate this. We're going to deal with episodes that have all of those different aspects that make The Office what we know and love so much. PJ, I know you've seen The Office, but you're not as big of a fan, which is why you're not playing. But tell us a little bit about your Office story before you get your ugly face off the screen and we don't have to look at you anymore for the rest of the show.
Wow. Okay. Well, that was nice.
Sorry, I'm just trying to make it as cringy and uncomfortable as possible.
I've always liked The Office. It's not one of the shows that I go back to a ton. I think I've probably only seen it through twice all the way. But I watched it pretty much from season 2 on, I think, on and off. It wasn't something I went out of my way to watch. If it was, I'd watch it, but that was just kind of it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So without further ado, let's make PJ voice only. Let's bring up the game board and let's play. So if you guys are new to Survivor Island, the way it's going to work is each person has crafted a list of their 10 personal favorite episodes. They will get the opportunity to nominate an episode, and then the rest of the panel will decide if it's a yes or a no. If it makes the list, it will go up to the top. If it doesn't, it will go to the discard pile. There are saves and kills. Each person gets 1 save and 1 kill. So let's say they nominate an episode and the panel all votes no on it and the nominator feels very strongly about it, they can save it. If they try to save something and then someone else kills it, that's okay, but then the nominator gets to retain their save to use another time or vice versa. So why don't we start in order of the cards with Tim? What's your first episode? So tell us the episode, tell us what season and episode number, and a little bit about
I don't have all that stuff.
why you chose it.
Well, I don't have the season and episode numbers written down. So
all right, fine.
I can remember like the seasons usually, but and some of them I'll remember the episode number. So let me see what I'm going to start with. I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, you ain't getting none of that. You ain't getting none of that shit from me, man. I don't have nothing. I know about what was going on in the world of The Office when this scene sort of took place.
You barely knew exactly.
Let's just start kind of big here, I guess. Why not? And we'll go with the injury, which I believe is from season 2.
Season 2.
It is, yeah.
So the injury is a great episode. You have Michael burning his foot on the Foreman grill because sue him. He likes to wake up to the smell of crackling bacon. So he doesn't have a butler, so he has to do it himself. And it's just great. And you see like Dwight's devotion to Michael in this episode because he's the one that goes to get him and he gets a concussion. And he's the one that's actually injured, and Michael just really kind of cares about himself. But you see Dwight's like relationship with Pam, kind of like throughout the series, like he has a really strong relationship with Pam. But this is kind of like where you first kind of see it, even though it's like through his like me having a concussion, but it's kind of like what the heart really feels, you know, because he ends up being really close there, and they have a lot of moments throughout the show. But this is kind of the beginning of that. And then you have some just great awkwardness with Billy coming in and Michael trying to talk about how brave he is because he's in a wheelchair and you're so brave. How long does it take you to brush your teeth? I don't know, 30 seconds. Wow, that's 10 times longer than it takes me or whatever it is. So I mean, so many classic moments. I mean, the opening is great with Michael calling and panicky and Pam, bam, bam. Don't send Dwight. Please don't send Dwight. So yeah, I mean, I think this is a good one to start off with because I think it's. I think most of these. I think everything is going to be universally loved for the most part. What we talk about tonight, but this is my first one. So I leave it in your hands.
All right, Jen, what's your vote?
Tim's getting on my good side early here. This is literally my favorite episode. It is my number one. I absolutely adore this episode. The cold open is my favorite cold open of the entire show. But yeah, it's just a great encapsulation of the characters, like particularly Michael. This is like his character in a nutshell. But yeah, I do love the relationship between Dwight and Pam in this one. Just Pam going like, Dwight's kind of my best friend, and having to like say goodbye to him because he's not going to be the same when he comes back. But yeah, it also has one of my favorite stupid lines that I use all the time, even though it doesn't really work at all. But I always use the Ryan, who's supposed to be dead because he wouldn't help him in the bathroom. So yeah, it's a fantastic episode. It was written by Mindy Kaling. A lot of her episodes are really some of my favorites. So yeah, it's just fantastic. So absolutely love this pick.
That's a yes. All right, Robert?
That's a yes.
So there is a backstory or a murmuring that went around the time that he was filming this episode and he was filming Evan Almighty that talked about the injury where he ended up breaking his leg with a bunch of goats on a hill, and they incorporated it into the episode of The Office. I don't know how true that is, but maybe it came from how all the perils of having to go without his leg when he's busy doing all this stuff, and maybe that's where it came from. But I remember that was a thing that happened around this time. So seeing that be kind of a part and utilized in the actual world of Dunder Mifflin made it all that much more great. And yeah, it's just a good episode. So yeah, I should have had it on my list because I'm pretty sure I didn't.
Great. So that's 2 yeses. Vanessa?
This is definitely a yes for me as well. It is in my top 5 of favorite episodes for The Office. I just think that everybody has a role to play in this episode, and they play it so well. And I love the way that Dwight acts. Like, he acts so differently, and that I did not want that relationship that he kind of started to build with Pam to end, and that made me really sad. But I really do like this episode a lot because they had no yams, because they always have yams. Weird.
Oh, interesting.
One in Carbondale.
They did not have fresh yams.
Yeah, so it's a yes for me also. This was also on my list. And the one thing that sticks out to me about this, aside from everything else you all have pointed out, is this, from what I recall, the first episode where you're really hyper aware that they're wearing microphones and that there's actually like a crew around them, and it's not just a choice. Because when Michael needs to go in the MRI machine, they make him take his mic pack off. And I think, it's pretty early on in the series. It's the first time the show itself actually calls out how involved the camera crew is and the fact that they all have to wear microphones. So that really stands out to me. But it is a hilarious episode. Certainly one of the funniest. And also I like how throughout you can see how Angela is so concerned and upset about Dwight's injury, but Pam is the only one at that point who really knows that Dwight and Angela are together. So there's just so many little things that would continue to pay off for time and time again. So I think that's unanimous. The injury has made the list. Then the question becomes, in what order will it end up later? All right, Jen, it's your turn to nominate an episode.
Okay, so I I always felt a little guilty picking double episodes, but there's just so many of them that are so fantastic. So this is one episode that I think if I was trying to get someone to sit down and watch The Office, I would pick this one, which is from season 4, which personally I think is the best season of The Office, and that's Money. It is episodes 7 and 8. There's a lot going on in this episode. You pretty much have a storyline going for every single character. The major one being that Michael is broke because Jan is just bleeding him dry. But yeah, we have Pam and Jim get to go to Schrute Farms for the first time for the agricultural bed and breakfast. We have Ryan coming in to do a PowerPoint presentation, PowerPoint. And Andy and Angela kind of starts kicking off their relationship because he gives her garbage, which Dwight was already trying to give her that, so that was a little upsetting. But yeah, from that, it gives you once again, a beautiful scene in the stairwell it's like the crying stairwell. They use it a lot, but this is the one where it's Dwight is crying over Andy finally starting to date Angela, and Jim goes to console him, and it's just a beautiful moment between the two of them who are constant rivals, but you have that moment of humanity of I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy, and you get Jim kind of going in and sweeping up Pam after that. So it's fantastic. It has I declare bankruptcy, which is one of the best jokes in the series. And it also has one of my favorite moments of dialogue where everyone has a moment, and that's for the PowerPoint scene of Ryan uses the word whomever, and they have this big debate about the object and the subject, and Kelly comes in with Ryan used me as an object, and it's fantastic. I absolutely love that scene. It's one of my favorite pieces of the entire series. So yeah, this is one of my favorites. It's technically my number 5, but as I'm talking about, I'm like, it should be higher. So.
So we'll go up to Robert. Robert, what do you think?
Yeah, it's going to be very hard for me to vote no on any of the episodes of The Office. Here's a couple that I think if you threw out there, I'd be able to criticize it down to the point where I could not bring it in. But no, of course, yeah. Like I don't remember a lot of the episodes just in terms of episodic numbers, because The Office is a free-flowing form of just experience, entertainment, and therapy. So I don't remember. Like if you said it's Money, I'm like, okay, what happened in this episode? Like Money, like I could have gotten maybe to I declare bankruptcy, but I'm not sure. Yes, is what I'm saying. So many great moments: the stairwell moment, the Money, I declare bankruptcy moment, the Kelly moment. Like it is great across the board. But it's an experience that I always experience. It's hard for me to pick it out and what took place until she did it. I was like, oh yeah, damn good episode. Good choice.
And Vanessa, what about you?
Like he said, this is gonna be so hard.
That's what she said.
I pretty much love all
There's the first one. Chris, can you put a little counter in the top corner of how many people make That's What She Said jokes?
Do it. That's what she said. Because I think that they all contribute to what is The Office. Like I like to look at The Office as like one big whole blob of goodness, even like the cringy episodes. And this one I really, really do enjoy. I do enjoy.
She enjoys it.
Gina said that.
Gina said that. Steve Carell.
Gina.
Okay. I do like this because you also get a little bit of other people too. Like you get Vikram. Like Vikram comes into play as well.
Love Vikram.
And the fact that like Michael, even though he's a manager, he like doesn't really, he wants to be the cool guy with all these other people and they're having conversations. He's like, well, if I just talk to these people a little longer, it'll be fine. And I also love like when he's doing the thing and then he's like talking to Daryl. He's talking to Stanley and Stanley's like, why are you calling me at home? So I love that part. He's like, Michael, I know it's you. I know your voice.
Wait, was that in the Money episode?
I mean,
it is. Yeah.
Why are you calling me at home when I'm watching?
He has the second job in this episode trying to make up money. Yeah.
You guys remember when we were younger, they came up with the episodic Simpsons books that had all the explanations for each individual episode? I have it right down there. I need that for The Office because I need to break it up with what actually happened, because to me, it's just a blob of memory. We got Vikram. Anyways, Vikram. We get Vikram for the first time.
So I'm probably going to say yes to all of these, but this one is a yes.
Money is so good.
Because of the Vikram.
Money is
the Stanley.
money.
Stanley.
That's for sure.
All right,
Maxwell. Are you calling me at home?
Okay, so much like Robert said, there are very few episodes of The Office, even in the sometimes maligned season 8 to 9, that I would call bad episodes of television. I pretty much like it all. This is definitely a great episode. And the more we talk about it, the more I'm like, oh, yeah, this is so good. And certainly I Declare Bankruptcy is one of the all-time great bits in The Office. But keeping in mind strategy, I have a lot of other episodes I want to mention. And I think this is going to get on anyways. I'm going to pass just because it didn't make my list and we're so early on. But that's not me saying I don't like this episode. It's a great episode. Especially seasons 1 through 6 or 7. Like every episode pretty much is gold. So it's like choosing your favorite pet. It's tough. But no.
Okay, so that leaves you, Tim. What are you thinking?
Well, it's going to make it regardless. So I love. I mean, literally, there's only one episode on the entire Office that I really don't want on this list. It's not in my list. So, well, the Banker I don't even include, honestly. So I guess 2. Like the Banker is not even an episode to me. That's the only episode I never watch.
Top you, John.
Spoilers. It has good moments for sure, but yeah. Anyways, with that being said, like, I for selfish reasons, I say no, just because there's more I want to see. And I even though I love this episode, and I mean Vikram, you got the I Declare Bankruptcy, the stuff with Pam and Dwight, and you have like the weird twisted relationship stuff with
and it has one of the last human moments for Jan, because while she is the entire problem that he's dealing with, she does have that kind of moment of you were there for me, and that's a beautiful little thing.
She'll stand by Michael, which
and
is
she
nice.
is the devil, but yeah. So it's
anyways, I would have said no, but it's okay that it made it. Are we? I want to ask like a show thing. Are we going to be have an opportunity to kill things at a later point, or did we determine that?
They locked in once they're in.
Or are we only killing in the moment? Like, I know that's something we were going to maybe look into, but I don't know if we have or not. So I don't know.
Chris is the game master, so that's up to Chris.
I don't know if Chris is here.
I don't.
He's like,
I don't know if he's still here or not. I mean,
I thought I heard him.
I don't think so. I mean, he could
Kill
pop
what
in,
you want to kill.
or he could just have left his camera on and we don't know.
But he's the one dragging the episodes over.
Oh,
then I guess we'll wait. I guess we'll.
He's the Dunder Mifflinity.
I guess we can err on the side of we can.
So, wait, here he is.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, this I try. My microphone was being a bitch. So what? sorry, but you can kill anything at any point until we get to the ranking. So anything is on the table to kill. Okay, you cannot kill something that's already been saved.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. You guys are all
okay. That's what I was going to say, but I wanted to confirm with you, Chris. So once we've locked in the 10, no kills. But as we're still playing until the 10 are locked, and once we have 10 up there, before we start ranking, we'll say one final call to kill.
Will saves become kills at the end if we haven't used them?
No, that's too complicated.
No.
I like where Jen's mind's at.
All right.
That was a good loophole you tried to use.
Sorry, I just wanted to clear all that up because.
All right, Robert, it's your turn to nominate an episode.
Son of a bitch. I'm going to pick an episode, and I don't remember what happened during that episode.
I'll help you with it if you need me to help you.
If you pick one on my list, I can help you because I have notes.
Franco just wants to kill.
Look, Franco killed It's a Wonderful Life on our Christmas Survivor Island, so
I will never forgive you. Never.
It made the list, but
you
still.
you have to force people to save. To use save. There's a strategy, man.
I'm trying to come around to your line of thinking.
That helped me.
I'm still mad over which films you chose to use.
That helped me. That helped me get Jingle All the Way on the list.
And you're very proud of that fact.
Which was my end game. I have an end game with this one as well. So let's see what happens.
Oh God!
You guys are like totally ready to kill because you don't want to just say yes to everything. I could feel it inside you. You just don't want to keep saying yes to everything. But you want to be able to be strategic. You know, eliminating certain things so that way yours can make it to the end, maybe. But I'm not going to make it easy for you because my choice Can I show you? How do I show you?
Click it.
Click it.
Okay, I thought so, but I was afraid I didn't want to break the game.
Hey.
So I'm putting this out so that way y'all have to vote for it because you if you don't, then there's something wrong. Yeah, you can do that.
Put it over.
If you want to save the debate for like another round or something against it, but
we can all be very brief because I think we're all going to probably say
absolutely. So it's dinner party. I mean, you get it. You understand. Anyone who watches The Office understands dinner party. And me, it's not even my number one episode. But Dinner Party is a very powerful. It's an amazing episode, well quotable. I want to just go to like the filming locations of the places they go after dinner at Michael's house. I guess they don't exist anymore, but it's still like I love Dinner Party so much because of the world that it gives us without Dunder Mifflin, and for that reason and many other reasons is Dinner Party.
All right, Vanessa, what are you thinking?
Oh gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay, so you took me by the hand, made me a man.
Just Jan. Just Jan in general.
Just everything about
Michael, what are you doing to him?
No rhyming. Like there's so many good things about this episode that I absolutely adore. Especially when they have the dinner party and then Dwight intervenes and everything. And anytime Dwight is a part of something, it's like a yes for me. I do have Dinner Party on my list. It is lower on my like top 10, but I do have it on my list. And I really do enjoy this episode because of, you see a little bit more of the relationship that Jen and Michael have, and they just make it so awkward for everybody else, and I love it for that reason. So yes, for me.
All right, Maxwell, Dinner Party.
So I consider myself something of a student of television. I have a master's degree in television management, and I mentioned before the guy who became my mentor in late college and then in that program was a guy who directed and produced sitcoms for a long time. So I know a lot about sitcoms. And I love sitcom history. I regard The Dinner Party as one of the all-time great masterpieces of American sitcom television. I would put it up there with like Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf or Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, like these great stage plays that I think this is very much molded after. I don't want to spoil the hand about where I think it should be placed in the top 10, but absolutely it's a yes.
All right, Tim.
Yeah, this is easily a yes. This is in my hand, and it's high up in my hand, and I love this episode. I love literally every single thing about this episode. There's not a single like line I don't love. You know, I have soft gums. How dare you? And like, and just so much. When Michael's looking at the TV, he's like, I can just stand here and watch TV for hours, and he's just standing watching this tiny TV. At his table, I think it's cherry, you know, whatever.
It has an Okie afterbirth.
Okie afterbirth.
Oh my God!
So much, you know, like. You know, you can buy a new house, Jen, but you can't buy a new party. There's just so many lines. I mean, it's and the awkwardness is peak. Yeah, and you see Jan and Michael and how toxic that relationship really is, so yeah, it's. I mean, also another thing I always quote is when Michael is like. He's like, this is my bed, and it's like the footstool. He's like,
oh my God.
He's like, no, it isn't. And then Jan's like, yeah, he's perfect for it. See, and he's like,
Jan has space issues.
Oh my God.
So yeah,
come in here and smell all my candles for investment opportunity.
There's a book that came out last year that's like an oral history of The Office by Andy Greenwald, I think, that I highly recommend. There's a couple episodes that get like special chapters devoted to them, and this is one of them. That's probably my favorite chapter in the whole book, is just hearing about the making of it, and the writing of it is like so much of the stuff they would come up with on the set, like Steve getting on the ottoman or footstool and like just something he decided to do while they were shooting. And that's like perfect comedy. It just shows how good Carell's instincts were.
Yeah. So Jen, is it a clean sweep?
This is a unanimous yes. Yeah, this was the first episode I saw because it was in an ethics class, and it was essentially we watched it because the professor was like, "I love this episode, and people should not act this way, but they do, and it's great." So yeah, this is a fantastic episode. It is probably the funniest script they've ever had, but it is a lot of improv in there. When Jan does the devil horns, that was improvised, and Michael, like, Steve's literally laughing. He's like, I'm in hell. I don't know what to do. Like, he was
shouldn't joke about that.
So yeah, it's fantastic. There's so much in here that like you could put the script up on a wall and it'd be amazing. But yeah, I'm always a really big fan of this really, really random line of when Andy first gets there, he has a bouquet of flowers for Jan, but he takes one flower. He goes, one flower for my flower. And Angela, in perfect fashion, is like, what am I supposed to do with this? Yeah. So every time I receive flowers, I do that. And I'm like, I shouldn't do that. That's awful. But yeah, it's fantastic. And this is, I think on record, the cast was like, this was the hardest one for us to film ever just because they were laughing the entire time. I highly recommend checking out the deleted scenes and the bloopers. There's a deleted scene about this random, really, really awkward storyline of Jan like spray painting a neighbor's dog, and it's like, what the hell? It's really weird. It's in the deleted scenes on the DVDs. It's probably on Peacock too. But yeah, it's just fantastic. I die every time he curls up on that little ottoman at the end of the bed. It's so good.
The size of the TV, I'm just laughing thinking about it.
Yeah, he pushes it back and he's like, oh my god.
When he tries to hide when she tries to hide the camcorder, oh, this is not supposed to be out.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
You break it, you break it.
The physical toll that 3 vasectomies has on one person. Like, it's really good.
Snip, snap.
So yeah, absolutely yes.
God, I love this show. So I believe the last. No, everyone voted.
Yeah, everyone voted.
Yep.
Yeah. So we've gone through.
On. So Vanessa, it's your turn to nominate.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Let me see what this one is. Okay. So I'm gonna pick this one, and I really like it when the office goes outside of the actual office, like the dinner party where they're at Michael's condo, and then for this one where they go down to the bar to hang out because, you know, it was all up to Oscar because Oscar wanted to be with the gay warehouse guy, and so they all kind of made it a thing. And then that's when we get to meet Date Mike. Nice to meet me. And I just think that this whole episode is great. Like, you just see how cringy Michael can be, but you can also see how great Michael can be until they ruin it and they make him feel like he has to be better than just like, you know, laying back. But then he gets the girl at the end, sort of. But yeah, so I really, really enjoyed this episode. I also love the interaction with Andy and Aaron when they're trying to be together for the first time. And that's super cringy too, but I love it. So this is mine.
All right, Maxwell, we start with you.
Okay, so before I unfortunately say no, I do want to note that this does have one of my favorite like little gags in an Office episode, and it's when the Japanese warehouse worker gives his whole speech at the end about how he was a surgeon in Japan, how Yakuza boss accidentally died, and then he fled, and then at the end he goes, but I killed him on purpose. I'm a good surgeon. That kills me every time because, you know, that character you had seen around the warehouse, I think this is the first time where he ever got to have like a full speech, and then he became more prevalent of a character later on. So I love that, but this didn't make my list, and there's still so many others I want to see. But again, a really good episode.
All right, Tim, what about you?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to say no, only because I have to be selfish and I want to see more. And this wasn't on my top list, although I do love this list. Like I said, I love really everything. But I like the opening for this one too, because I think this is the one where they do the push-up contest, right? Where Stanley like powers through the push-ups.
Exactly.
And that's a great opening. And like Date Mike, I mean, is one of Michael's many hilarious characters. And I completely forgot that this was the one that closed with Hide and his like story. And that story is because then he pretty much tells like, he doesn't tell the full story later, like multiple times, but he basically keeps talking about how he was like heart surgeon number one and all that, and everyone just kind of writes him off. But yeah, I mean, I do like this episode a lot, but I have to say no right now. I'm sorry. I have to
all
be a
right,
bad guy.
So Jen, we're down to 2 no's already. Where are you at?
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm also going to have to say no. This is a really fun episode. I think Date Mike, like, he feels like he's a character that was intended for, like, season 2, but then they just didn't get to him in time. So it does feel like a great throwback. But, yeah, it's super cringy to watch that. But, yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff happening. I love the Andy and Aaron, like, they're trying to pretend that they're not a thing. But it's like, and the drama. Andy loves drama, so it's just really interesting to watch that. I'm also a really big fan. I was a big fan of the Dwight Isabel relationship, which is Pam's cousin that they met at the wedding, and she's like there, and they're kind of being flirtatious and fun. And this is when Angela's kind of getting jealous, and it has one of my favorite moments that's been gift to death of she kind of sneaks up on Dwight and he's like, fuck you, like right there. But yeah, so it's a lot of fun, but unfortunately, yeah, we have a lot to cover, so I'm gonna have to say no.
All right, Robert, it's not gonna make it, but do you have any final thoughts?
Absolutely love this episode. I think that Michael, when he finally gets to go with them out and hang out, that would be sublime. When they ask him to play, actually, go out and play billiards.
That's for you.
And yeah, it does ruin it. In pure Michael fashion, he does ruin it and turns into the overthinking, date Mike. Nice to meet me. And for me, though, yes, I absolutely do love the Isabel and Dwight relationship. For me, the Isabel and Dwight relationship was all passion. It was, aggression. It was
busy knocking boots.
Two alphas. And it rekindles. He totally hits it and literally quits it at the wedding. And when she showed up again, there was a hell of a lot more to her that he got to learn. Universal donor. I want a big family, big.
A big family.
I can see enjoying that. And the fuck, yeah, and the meme. It's so perfect, built out of that moment. And he was ready to throw it all away. Hey, monkey. It was done. He was going to write off the entire contract at that very moment, because he was going to pursue Isabel. And for me, it just the contract and Angela just wrangled him. Wrangled him.
I think it's so good at this game, whacking moles.
And yeah, Michael's interaction with what's her name, the manager, the one he ends up getting in a relationship.
Julie, I think.
Is it Julie?
Donna.
Julie is
the one he was supposed to. Yeah.
Donna. And yeah, I mean that whole interaction with them talking about but you shut up.
I love that whole interaction.
Have you read it? Lee Iacocca's book? I've read it. I own it. No, I have not read it.
Well, it's gonna make you want to go out and buy a Chrysler. A house Chrysler. Shut up. You shut up.
And for me, that just how he hits it, and when he's out there and he's all, and he does the little walk, nice to meet me. And he just strolls off because he won, man. He got Donna. For me, yeah, I don't love the drama. That's one of the parts I don't like. That's one of the parts where I don't like Andy doing something like, Andy, you're ruining this relationship with Aaron again. But at the whole Kelly and Ryan thing, when
stop telling me how to
spend my tickets, and then she's all crying outside, and then Kevin's wah, wah, wah. It's a great episode. It's when it's on, I am very happy from beginning to end. E-Day's conversation, Matt, Mike, I know what I'm doing, Pam. It's I don't remember, maybe that was the Christmas one, but I think it was this one.
No, that one's the Christmas one.
Possibly, yes. But either way, this episode, it has a lot of merit. I love it.
So Happy Hour is not going to make it. Vanessa, do you want to save it?
I do really, really, really love this episode, but I have an episode that if it doesn't get in, I will save it. So this one.
All right. Happy Hour is no more. So I believe that leaves Maxwell.
Yes. Okay. So I was thinking about which one I wanted to nominate. And so inspired a little bit by what Vanessa said, where she loves episodes where they leave the office. This is one of those. And there's also a character that is somewhat controversial in the fandom of The Office. You either love him or don't. I happen to love him. I think this is the highlight of his character. The episode is Pool Party from season 8, where Robert California is forced to sell his mansion, and the office ends up having a party at his mansion. Andy is thinking about proposing to his girlfriend. Jim has amazing quips about how he's the expert at leaving parties early. And believe me, I have taken many of his tips to note on how to properly leave parties early, still make an impression, get into a photo, get out of there by 9:30 so I can get on my couch and watch The Office.
Unless you're up against Robert California.
Right. Exactly. Everything about Robert in this episode delights me so much. I think it's like I said, the peak of his character about how he envisioned this as a place where there could just be like bacchanalias and meat juices dripping down your chest. And almost before it's too late, he realizes that one of the parties he had always envisioned is happening. But perhaps my favorite part of this episode is Toby and Oscar, where they're all allowed to pick wine, and then Toby picks a bottle of wine, and Oscar realizes how great it is. And so Oscar goes, Toby, what's compelling about this is the note of persimmon, right? And Toby goes, note? It's a symphony. And that kills me every time.
And he's like, you're playing a dangerous game, Toby.
So I love this episode. I think it's so funny. It's a little darker, which Robert California brought like a dark edge to it. And it's like you said, anytime where they're all hanging out together somewhere outside of the office leads to great stuff. So it may not make it. I know it's probably not as obvious of a choice, but I wanted to nominate it earlier because I feel like there's a lot of heavy hitters that will get mentioned. So I went with something a little more under the radar.
All right, Tim, you're up.
This was going to be my next nomination. I love this episode so much. I love Bob Casamakis, aka Robert California, and I think this episode also has one of my favorite like what the fuck Andy like lines ever, and it's when he's like rummaging through his pocket for the ring, and his like girlfriend comes up to him and she's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Flicking a bug off my wiener." Like, why would you? Why would that be the thing you say? Like, flicking a bug off my wiener. And she's just like, what?
For this exact moment, too, and that's why it's there.
It's so good. And then like the whole thing with he loses the ring, obviously, and then they find it and they say it needs to be destroyed because it's bad luck. And then like Erin's the one that actually recovers it and gives it to Andy because she knows that it's his, because she knows like the family, like whatever's on it that So she knows, and that just kind of shows that even though obviously nothing ever happens with them, but obviously but yeah, and like the stuff with Oscar and Toby's great, and like at the end when like Toby's like pouring wine on him, and he's like, "I am Bacchus, god of wine."
Yeah,
I am Bacchus's friend.
Toby, I am Bacchus's friend.
And then Ryan and Gabe just get weirder and weirder and play more and more into Bob's bizarre bullshit. I love it.
They're just trying to they're just competing with each other, trying to like impress the boss, and like I love how the episode ends with Robert just like passed out, and they're still dancing basically, and Ryan's like, "We can go now," and it's like, "Go."
This is the eyes wide shut of the office,
and they just keep going, and I mean, flicking a bug off my wiener. That's really all I had to say. So it's so good. Yes.
All right, Jen, what about you?
This is funny because I was gonna do the exact same episode on my next turn. I absolutely love this episode. This is prime Robert California. Like a lot of my favorite things have already been said. The whole Toby Oscar thing, it's one of my favorite moments between the two of them. I love when they're just going room to room and they keep toasting these random things, and they have the line of, there's this bearskin rug that he's like, I want an extra large one so it would fit the extra large bed, and they're like, to both these bears, and it's like Oscar in that moment is like gonna cry. He's like, to both these bears. And it's so amazing. I love it. And it's so much fun in this one, the Ryan and Gabe stuff, like, because the two of them are essentially the same character at different points in their life, essentially. So it's really fun to see them actually get played off each other, and it doesn't really happen again after this, which is a little weird. But yeah, this is fantastic. Absolutely so much fun. Everything with Dwight and Erin are actually really effective in this one, and it was a funny choice to do that. But having her like play off of him of like, oh, you're the most masculine man here, so you can help me like make Andy jealous and everything. Yeah. So it was a lot of fun. Yeah, this is an absolute yes for me.
Going up to you, Robert. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's another segment in on the life that is Robert California. I absolutely do adore Robert California. I think it would have been better if California was the CEO, Ray Romano was the manager, but Robert California is an interesting cat, and everybody around him responds a certain way to his main character. And this absolutely lets you look in on that world. It does kind of drag for me a little bit now with the pool segments than it used to, and I think that's just because the tarnishment that came between Erin and Andy. So I don't buy in with it as much as I used to. So it does kind of like I play on my phone a little bit more when we're in those scenes, but absolutely Bacchus God of Wine and Bacchus's friend and Gabe and freaking Ryan with Robert California is amazing. I've got some what is it, like Korean porn in my car, my iPod, if it can put it on.
I made this screening room to watch like Caligula, and last 2 movies I saw were Marley and Me and on Golden fucking Pond. Yeah, like it's great.
And it gives you a little bit of insight too of what's going on with his wife Mara Tierney, who played Lisa Miller on News Radio. Absolutely love that show.
So
That's
great.
my favorite show over The Office. Like I absolutely heart that show in a million
News Radio is
ways.
great.
Every episode.
Put it on a streaming service.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
it used to be on my Comcast On Demand, then they got rid of it. But I've got the whole
have it on-
series right here. You want to watch it?
Yeah, I have it on DVD, but the packaging is so shitty. Every time I open it, I feel like it's going to crumble in my hands.
Yeah.
100%. But either way, this episode does give you more insight to that crazy Lizard King, that
The
fucking
Lizard
Lizard King, Robert California. So it's a yes from me.
All right, Vanessa.
So it wasn't on my list, and I already know that's going to pass. But there are scenes in this episode that I do just love, especially that little interaction with Aaron and Dwight. Hey, Snoot, and then they're like crunching the food into their faces. Is he looking? No. Okay,
No?
you can stop.
Okay.
You can stop. You can stop. Like it's just I love that interaction between them two, and
When
just
she's holding his
just
hair.
being kind of an idiot, and then they play chicken, and then
I will not leave your shoulders. Yeah.
so I really do like that interaction between the two of them. So
And there's my
yeah.
talking point. Jim's
Yeah.
out the door.
I am so happy this made it, but I'm
Unless someone wants to kill it.
I don't
was
think
gonna
it'll
say,
make it to
but,
the end.
Vanessa, you do have a kill if you would like to kill it.
No, I don't like killing anything.
Kill it when you need to.
Also, one other thing I love in this episode, it's so dumb, but when Robert is like, when Jim's trying to leave, and Robert's like, Jim, come to this next room. I think there's something really interesting
Why would you?
here.
Why,
He's like, what? Why? What? He's like, I don't know.
I don't know.
why would I
Great
like
moment.
it? I don't know.
I don't know.
Just go.
You would like it especially. Why would I like it? I don't know.
Like I said before, I was the only person who saw everyone's list, and when I made my list, I was confident I was going to be the only one that had this episode on my list. But then both Tim and Jen had it on their list. I was like, we have a shot. As for this question, Aaron and Andy, should they have been Endgame? I don't think so. I kind of like how it's almost the inverse of Jim and Pam, where we followed their relationship for a long time. They had highs and lows, and they didn't end up together.
The minute he
Andy was
stepped on the boat, like they assassinated his character. So yeah.
Which I don't mind, but I'm glad they didn't bring him back to be with Aaron.
Yeah.
And all it's been done.
All
Yeah,
right.
I'll save my kill for.
Andy's
something else
character
if I
got
need to.
assassinated because Ed Helms kept leaving to go film other shit. And
Yeah.
it just ruined the
Fair.
character for him.
Yeah.
They had to make it work without him. And then he came back and gave him the most important role. Damn it. They shouldn't have been him. Anyways, let's go.
All right. So we
I
go
like
to
that it was,
Tim.
though.
And Tim, your next nomination could end up being like the exact halfway point in this game. So make it.
Oh man.
No pressure.
Oh man. Okay. I guess I'll go ahead and do another one of my favorite. I mean, obviously these are my favorites, huh? Right? Let's go ahead and put another one up here that I think may be kind of challenging. So we're gonna put. I don't remember what season this is from. I think it's probably from season 6, maybe. But Murder.
Yes.
Which is dumb. Yeah.
Vanessa just
Hard
made
R.
a face. So
this is right before it's the start of Dunder Mifflin going downhill, obviously, and they get some news that potentially things are not great with the company, and Jim and Michael are co-managing the branch, and they have dueling styles of how they should manage the branch. And Michael, when he hears this news, he immediately thinks the office needs something to take their mind off it. So he says they're going to play a game, and so they break out bullets, bourbon, and
Bells, bourbon, and bullets.
A murder mystery in Savannah, and they do this whole thing. Everyone is kind of invested in it, kind of not, and it's just great. And so many good moments with Andy doing the voices, and Kevin's like, do the Swedish Chef, and he's like, I'm not familiar with that. What province is he from? He's from Sesame Street. And you got more of a Florida Panhandle thing. You gotta Like molasses dripping off your mouth. And Andy being like, I'm afraid I asked out Naughty Nelly instead of Aaron. Which makes it weird because Naughty Nelly says yes.
Because everybody. And she could be a
murderer. And Dwight's whole like reasoning of how he's going to determine who the murderer is, and then he ends up being right because it ends up being Phyllis, and it was Beatrice Bourbon all along. And the way it ends with like the whole standoff between Dwight, Pam, and Michael, and they all it's great. And Jim's just like whatever, he's like over it, I'm out of here. And you have the moment like with Jim, like because Jim is like dead set against it throughout the entire episode, but then they actually get another call from David Wallace, and definitely things are not great, and Jim's kind of down from it as well, and he's like he says he's got there was another murder, and so Michael's like, a murder, you say? I do declare. So yeah, it's just great. I love it. It's so much fun. It's one of my favorite. Oh, and then the cold open for this episode is fantastic too, because it's where Dwight is going over all the changes in karate, and then Jim convinces him to fight himself, and so Dwight just beats himself up. You always have the element of surprise. Yeah, murder, you say?
We start with Jen. Everyone seemed to be giggling all through this. I have my thoughts. It's going to get through, but starting with Jen.
I do declare, once again, this was going to be my pick. You guys are all picking what I want, so this is like really easy for me. I absolutely love this episode. I think it's one of those just perfect quintessential Michael moments, because he is the boss for a reason. Every once in a while, you get this little sneak peek of why he's actually really good at what he does and everything. And this moment where Jim like really hits the wall and just screams at him like Michael, and just switches Caleb, and they go in the office. And the minute that the door closes, like Michael switches to like, people need this game, Jim. They need it. And then the moment that the door opens again, he's right back in character. And that's just a beautiful little character moment for Michael. So I absolutely love this episode. I die every time that Oscar comes in trying to like update them on what's happening, and he can't do an accent to save his life. It is so good. Like he is so good on the show. But that's one of my favorite moments for Oscar. And yeah, just Angela having to deal with being Voodoo Mama Juju. I'm not comfortable with this. It's fantastic. I love this episode, and just the concept of Tube City as this throwaway gag is brilliant. And he's like, so he does owe me one, but so yeah, this is an absolute yes for me. I love murder.
Going up to Robert.
Yeah, I mean, it's clearly a very memorable and poignant Office series. It does kind of or Office episode of the series, and it does show us, the mentality that Michael typically does when he does take the minds of the crew off of the more looming presence, or at least the looming news that could be affecting their branch. He's done it before in grief counseling too. So, the branch was going to close up. And so here it is once again, facing down the barrel of the gun. It's important. It's important to the Office story too, what's going on with David Wallace, and just how, defeated he is as each time they pick up the phone when it comes to David Wallace, and they're starting to pull back, and you're starting to see Dunder Mifflin basically come to an end. But yet the Office goes on with, the murder and the ending, cold outro, I guess you could say, with during the credits, depending on where you're watching it. But it really is a brilliant moment. It's great. It's like 6:00. Like, go start the car. And how they all got into it at the very end. So yeah.
All right, Vanessa.
So this was going to be my next one too. It's actually my number one favorite episode of The Office, because it is a turning point of where Dunder Mifflin is going to go. They don't know, are we going to be losing our jobs? Like, what's happening? And then, of course, having this crazy thing of playing a game in the office there. And I just love all the different interactions that they have. Y'all, when it cuts to Kevin say, these people are really getting into it, and then it's just y'all. Like, that was like the perfect cut ever.
Maybe your character could have been kicked in the head. Yeah.
You were listening on that. You rich people think you can do whatever you can to the working class. No, don't make this political, right? But like, there's so many things in this episode that I absolutely love. But I also particularly love the fact that in this episode, Jim kind of realizes how Michael does his type of way of being a manager, and he kind of takes it into account, especially when he's talking to Wallace on the phone. He's like, oh, it looks like we're, like Wallace is like, no, we expect to be out of money by the end of the year. And Jim's like, oh, how am I gonna, give this news to the people, instead just allowing them to have this one day. They need this, Jim. They need it. So that's why they play the game, and I love it.
Solid. It's a solid
All
train.
right, Maxwell, is this going to be a perfect clean sweep?
It is. This was on my list fairly high up. I agree a lot with what Vanessa was saying. I think the best choice about making Jim and Michael co-managers is it let Jim get insight into why Michael does some of the things he does. I mean, obviously, I'm not talking about the super awkwardness and the cringe humor, but why he instills a sense of fun and joy into the office that sometimes is needed when shit gets tough. And for what it's worth, and this surprises me too, like the office quote I say more often than any other office quote, other than that's what she said, is, see, what you're doing is more of a Florida panhandle. You need to do Savannah, which is like molasses spilling out of your mouth. I will say that all the time, and most people don't have any idea what it's from. I think this is a great ensemble episode. I mean, The Office is truly an ensemble show, but there are certain episodes where there's something that allows everyone to be on it and have fun. And like you were saying, like when Oscar comes in and can't do the accent, it's just all so funny and such a great episode. So yeah, it is a clean sweep.
And
with that,
we can't
run along.
we've gotten the first 5 slots filled. We only have 5 spots remaining. So we go to Jen. Jen, what are you nominating? It's already getting down to half.
I mean, I'm very happy. All 5 of these are on my list, so we all have very similar tastes. So I'm gonna go for something that I honestly don't expect to be picked. Honestly, just because I'm bored. I assume that everyone's just gonna keep saying the things I want. So I'm gonna go with one that's another Office field trip episode. This is from season 7 because there are good episodes later on in the show. This is Andy's play. So anytime that there's like a musical component in any show, I'm going to get excited about it. And it's Sweeney Todd, so even more so. This is just another really fun episode where the entire ensemble is just experiencing something all together. And Michael is just off his rocker in this one because he's so livid that this play is happening and he didn't get cast because he recited an entire episode of Law and Order for his audition. And Daryl Plummer got picked instead of him. So it's just, there's a lot of pettiness in it. It's just fantastic. He was like stealing bottles of wine and he's booing the guy. And it's one of those like horror moments for anyone who's done anything in theater, of balloons exploding and phones going off and the bottle rolling all the way down the stairway. So yeah, and there's a lot of fun stuff here of the different relationships going on, because this is like one of Jim and Pam's like first outings as new parents and everything, which is a whole new dynamic for them. And meanwhile, like Andy's inviting Erin because he wants to get her back, even though she's like dating Gabe now because she thinks she has to because he's the boss, which is really weird. And Angela and Dwight are like still in their weird little sex contract thing, so she's trying to like get him to fall for her again. But yeah, so it's a little weird. But there's a lot of just really fun throwaway gags of like Creed is apparently a theater reviewer and stuff, so he's like recording in the lobby and stuff. But yeah, it also has just one of my favorite little, like, every once in a while they tend to do this a lot for Andy, of they treat him much like they treat Michael, of he's a kind of a tragic character, but he tends to get these moments where the entire group kind of comes around and like, it's okay, man, you're with us and everything. And so this episode closes with everyone just like congratulating him on being in the show, and he was actually really great and they actually really enjoyed it and they didn't expect it to. And they're like, sing us another song, and he sings I Try while they're all having this montage of all the people kind of enjoying their little moment at night. So it's a hopeful episode. I really enjoy it. And I love that Dwight doesn't like going to the theater because last time he did, a man dressed in a catsuit sat on his lap. So yeah, this is a fantastic episode. I don't expect it to get voted through, but I just wanted to talk about it.
All right, so we start with Robert. What are your thoughts?
I do expect it to get voted through because you're on a channel where the guys are like all about plays and stuff.
That's true. I'm playing to the audience, so
yeah, I do have a feeling this one has a little bit more weight or a lot of criticism on their part. But the way I see it, man, I'll save it for. Well, I'll do McCheesy Pop.
Save it for me,
Mr. Cheesy Pop,
because it's on my list. It's not on yours.
You got it. So When it comes to this episode, it does have that cringe moment too, with Michael dropping a bottle and it's going clink, clink, clink all the way down, which I have experienced at a movie theater where it was just a clean slope all the way down to the bottom. And you just hear clink, 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 clink. And we're like, oh my God. But it was a $1 movie, so it's okay.
At least at a movie theater, the people on screen can't hear it.
It's true. It's very, very true. That's what makes it worse. Also, it wasn't real. But when it comes down to this episode, I do love, the popping balloons and Michael just saying he's not going to go and then saying he is going to go and support Andy, even though he's upset, and he still carries that grudge throughout the entire thing. But when it comes down to it, I'm not a huge theater guy, and Sweeney Todd, I think I saw it kind of a little bit once, and it's the Johnny Depp version. I don't know
Which
it.
is good.
But there is an aspect to that entire cold opening that I absolutely love, and I do love many other moments too, especially with Angela and Dwight, and Aaron. Of course, again, it's Andy. It's Andy moments, Aaron moments. They kind of take a little bit of a shot for me, but he redeems himself in the end. But still, I like Andy a lot more in the beginning than I do with Andy in the end. So yeah, that's a no for me.
All right, moving over to Vanessa.
This is a huge yes for me. This is actually my second favorite episode of The Office of all. Like I said, I do like it when they come out of the office and do things. One of my favorite parts of the episode is where they're getting interrupted on stage, and then Andy's phone is ringing and he's like, I have killed it, just like your character.
We don't know that yet.
It all connects.
So I just love that whole part, because he's just it's really cringy to watch, but at the same time I can't look away, because you're like, oh my gosh, Andy, what are you doing? And then the cold open when they're doing a little bit of viral marketing for it is great, because there's actually a extra on YouTube. His name is Mr. Cheesy Pop, and he goes to like Disneyland and Universal, and he tries like all of their drinks and stuff, and he's really, really fun. He's in that episode, in that scene too, so it's kind of exciting to see that he was in that scene.
He's the lone dancer with Andy, and they're going in the office. The very first two, that is Max, that is Mr. Cheesy Pop, and it's beautiful.
And then I love, when the director comes up and he's like, Michael Scott, we're going to find a role that is just right for Michael Scott, because he did the whole Law and Order. I don't know. It's just like,
Last time I saw this, John, he wasn't a victim, if you know what I'm talking about.
You know what I mean? And he's like, I'm the cleaning lady. Like, it's just the way that Michael is, and it's perfect. But I love this episode a lot.
All right, Maxwell, what about you?
Okay, so more so than maybe any other episode in The Office, this one makes me retch, because that's what I do. I produce theater. So the shit that happens in this drives me fucking crazy. And I go to a lot of theater, and this sort of shit happens all the time. I've heard bottles roll down the aisle, people answering their phones.
People texting next to you.
Yeah, seriously.
Not that I have a story about that.
And then you go tell the house manager, so they talk to those people, and then those people call you an asshole for asking them to. Anyways, and if we were talking top 20 episodes, it would probably be a yes. But with only 5 slots left, I'm gonna say no. I do like it a lot, and Sweeney Todd is one of my absolute favorite musicals of all time. Stephen Sondheim's a genius. I think it's his masterwork. But I don't know. I'm just feeling like no, and I'm sure the uncomfortable element is part of it. Obviously, that's the point, and it succeeds at that. But there's just so many other episodes I would like to get on here. I'm going to pass. Sorry, Jen.
Okay.
All right, we moved to Tim.
This one is on my list as well. It's at the bottom half of my list, but it is on my list. I love it. One of the things that no one's mentioned yet that I love is the fact that the role of Sweeney Todd is Daryl's plumber. Yeah, and he's like, I think this guy's my plumber. He's like, no, Daryl, he's a world-class actor. He's not moonlighting as your plumber. And then Michael boos him, and then at the end he's like, hey, good job. And he's like, you're the guy in the movie. He's like, there's a lot of people booing. I wasn't one of them. Nope, it was just you. And then Creed's like, Michael, Louise, I just saw this guy kill a bunch of people. Like, and it's so good. I love the when they give Andy those moments, like when he's like singing a song and it's just kind of sad and stuff. You get the other one later, much later, where he does the Sarah McLachlan song. But and then like Pam and Jim, like their night out didn't go very well, so then they're at the house and he's like,
it's like the Hurt Locker.
He's like, I think I got some Irish cream and some orange juice. He's like, get it, let's get our drink on,
Get our juice on.
get our juice on. And I mean, I love this episode, so it's a yes for me. And we're getting slim here, so I don't know. I might have to unsheath the kill here soon.
Here we're in an interesting spot. Maxwell and Robert do have the power to kill this episode if they'd like.
Much like Sweeney Todd.
Is there something that me doing that benefits me?
It just
gives you another opportunity, another slot for.
But you can also do it later. So
so I can kill it later.
Yeah.
Then no, I need to see what's on the board before I start eliminating players.
Smart man.
Yeah.
All right, Maxwell. What about you? I mean, this really lies on you now, friend.
Look, if I really hated an episode, I'd kill the banker episode.
I'd kill the banker too.
Here's what I'll say. I am contemplating killing it. It is a serious discussion within my own mind. But much like Robert, because I don't have to do it right this second, can see what else gets nominated. I'm going to wait, but be on your toes.
We're just going to have... It's going to get very bloody later on.
You could come in for a haircut and a shave, and I could slit your throat at any time. So for now, Andy's play makes the list. But will it end up there at the end? I don't know.
That's an interesting play.
Right now.
There's only 4 spots remaining, and they decided to let that one go through.
All these are on my list except for
interesting
money,
situation.
So I'm in good shape.
So we're going to go up to Robert now. Robert, what is your next episode?
I can't even read them. I don't even know what episode that is.
That's the one. Amazon.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Did I just do something wrong? It looks like
Amazons.
No, somebody else.
Oh, God damn it.
There's no time like the present.
You do have some good ones.
Yeah, there is. Now, earlier, Jen, you mentioned a two-parter, but you put it together as one for money. Like, is that a thing? Are we combining the two-parters into one?
The Dunder Mifflin Wiki put it together, so I'm counting.
It's not on my list, spoiler, but I was considering putting Niagara on as one episode if I was going to put it on. So, I mean,
yeah.
So, I mean, I think it's okay to do that, honestly.
I think it's fine.
Because I think anything that is a 2-part episode like that, if it's one story arc, it should
because
be one.
It aired together.
It aired
together.
Yeah.
I got it.
If it had aired like to be continued and then the next week, that's okay. But because it aired the same night, that's fine.
Sure. Because we have very little space, I'm going to go for one of my fan favorites. And if you kill it, you kill it. If you don't, you don't. But don't just kill it because I'm okay with it. It's amazing. This episode. So for me, one of my favorites is because it occurred on the British office as well, but it didn't occur on the U.S. office until like season 3, episode 8. But it's the merger and bringing in Stamford to Dunder Mifflin, Scranton. I don't know what, like when I was younger, I used to work at this pizza chain here in Tucson, Arizona, Peter Piper Pizza, and ours closed. And there's this one that's been on another busy intersection in Tucson forever, since I was a kid. That's the one I used to go to when I was a kid. And so like mine closed down because they were going to rebuild and move it a block over. And I ended up with a crew, with a team of where we decided, came to that other pizza place and got incorporated into the workforce. And that experience of me not only being the only one left, but the one that rose to management from the other store who did nothing but throw out trash and wash dishes. They called me Lobby Bobby because I just cleaned the lobby. And I never came out of my shell, never did more than just the bare minimum. For some reason, when I went to this other store, like I blossomed and grew. And for me, when Jim goes over to Stamford and he starts to just be better. He was starting to fix himself. He pulled himself out of a very stressful situation, and I loved every minute of it when Andy and when of course Karen showed up, and it built this alternative Office universe with characters that I enjoyed. Now we're dual wielding there, and you ended up taking a part of the British Office that I love so much as well. Incredibly cringy episode called Merger, where you took the other branch and put them together, and here's freaking Ricky Gervais running the whole show, David Brent, and he's so happy that he's got all these minions underneath him that he just fucks it up. But with this episode, they do that and bring those characters and start morphing them together under the regime that is Michael Scott. And like every single one, with the exception of the power trio, gets eliminated very, very quickly. And this whole episode, partly the interactions with Andy and Michael, 100% see, I want to throw out the quotes and I don't want to mess them up. The name repetition, personality mirroring, and of course, never breaking a handshake. Aloha and hello. That Andy, he's a very likable way about him. Like, I love their interactions at the very beginning. Dwight and Andy going up against each other when they first meet. Oh, director of sales, and then of course the assistant to the regional manager. Oh, then you'll be reporting to me then. On the contrary, like these friendships, relationships, and Jim and Pam are back in the building. But he's got so much more of a head on his shoulders. You know, he's not letting it get to him. He's got Karen. And of course, he does not have his desk because of an amazing moment when he goes to take back his desk, and freaking Ryan ends up putting his bag down there, and he's like, "Yeah, Jim is a nice guy. That's why he didn't That's why I got the desk." I just that experience that I went through at Peter Piper Pizza with my crew that I rode and died with. Like, these are my friends. Like, this is who I hung out with, and then all of a sudden we're split up and go and absorbed with another one. Like, that's what happened for me when I saw Andy, Karen, and Jim all get morphed in and stayed to the end. Andy ended up becoming the manager all the way to the very end as one of the characters that came from elsewhere. So for me, the merger, that was a lot. That's why I had to get it out. That's my number one, by the way. So I had to get it all out now.
What a beautiful explanation. So we move over to Vanessa. Are you going to crush Robert's dreams and say no?
She can't. She laughed at it. So we were watching
just
it
because I laughed at something doesn't mean I'm going to crush it. I will be crushing it. I'm going to real be crushing your dreams. It's a no for me. There are some good moments, just like any Office episode. There are some really good moments for every episode, and I do love certain parts of this episode too, especially when Dwight's there and he's telling Michael what to do, and he's like, "I think you should fire Anthony Gardner before noon to consolidate power." And it kind of just is like preludes to what's going to happen later anyways, but it's just so hilarious. And then the fact that you have all of these characters, and the one that is super cringy, but I just like the way that Pam interacts with this, because she's like, "Michael, why would you say that?" With her face. And it's just that whole scene where Michael is talking.
You're very exotic
Karen.
looking.
You're very exotic looking. Are you? Is your dad a GI? And
is your dad a GI?
Michael. And I love Pam's reaction because she's like, "Why would you say that? Like, come on!" And then of course the whole scene where Karen is trying to do her
Filippelli,
trying to do her voicemail. Karen Filippelli, please leave me a message.
Abadanza.
And then at the end she's like,
Karen Filippelli.
So there are some good moments.
It's mostly pencils and coupons. Michael, I didn't get a good
and you get Lazy Scranton a little bit.
Lazy Scranton, hell yeah, for the first time.
Call my boy just to see what's shaking.
So we move to Maxwell. Will you continue the destruction of Robert's dreams?
What? The Electric City?
Will continue the destruction of Robert's dreams.
You call it that because of the electricity.
It's a good episode. It obviously, plot-wise, it's really important for season 3, and I always really liked the Stanford and then murder plot. I think it's handled really well. I love Karen Filippelli. I think Rashida was great, and anytime they brought her back thereafter, it was always fun. like her, and talk about a great introduction for a character when you know she's like, he's always making this face to the camera. So good. But this wasn't on my radar when I was thinking of my favorite episodes. I totally get it though, because it has such like personal relevance to you, and that's the great thing about anything is everyone brings their own shit to it. But for this, I'm gonna pass.
All right. So Tim, we go to you. This is dangerous waters right now for this episode. You could potentially kill it right now.
Call poison control if you're bit by a spider. A healthcare provider. As much as I love this episode, I'm gonna have to say no. It's on my top 20, and I considered putting it in my top 10. But I really wanted to get Pool Party in there, so some of them just had to go. And I love this episode. I love as Robert mentioned, the whole like back and forth with Andy and Dwight trying to like just trying to like see who's actually the boss or who's on top of the other. And he's like, well, I'm a director, which is on his film set is the highest title. He's like, do you know anything about film? And then Dwight's like, I know everything about film. I've seen over 240 of them. It's like a random number.
And they never stop shaking hands.
Yeah. And then they check in with each other later. He's like, hey, got anything to report? You mean from you to me? And it's just, and then Dwight goes to Michael, and Michael's like, I have a company to run. Please let me run the company.
Nifty gifty.
Yeah, putting Dwight and Andy together reaped a lot of benefits.
Yeah, and so I love this episode. I love every time I go to Disneyland, there's a shop, the shop that like does all the candy and like the taffy and stuff on Main Street. They have they have a bunch of little games, like like little things, and like one of them is like that electricity thing where if you hold it like vibrates and you feel like you're getting shocked. This is a fact. Every single time I walk by that, I have to go up to it. I go and I do the in the electric city because I think it says electric. I think it says electricity, and I'm like obviously I'm like I always do that every time I'm in Disneyland. That's one of my running things, and so I love this episode, but unfortunately I have to be selfish, and there's more I want to see, so it's a no. But I do love this episode a lot.
Jen, we could have a perfect sweep of getting this one out of here. Where are you at?
I mean, I'd be lying if I said I wanted this on the list. So yeah, unfortunately, I'm going to say no. Like similar to what's been said before, I pulled about 60 episodes that were in contention, and this unfortunately was not one of them. It's still a good episode, but I do think it's more one of those, the story needs to get to a certain person, so it doesn't quite stand on its own to me. But it does have a lot of fun moments. Like clearly, Lazy Scranton is like a big part of the zeitgeist of the fandom.
They have the pop vinyls with them in their Lazy Scranton outfits and a 2-pack. I really want to get those.
Yeah. There's also the cold open is actually a really cute Pam and Dwight moment where like I think it was Toby had done like a road race or something and he was bragging about his time and like Dwight's like I can be faster than that and like so she has him like go run outside and she's like I'm not even timing him. I don't know what I'm doing right now.
The thermometer.
The thermometer. Yeah. But unfortunately like the thing that like sticks out in mind for this episode is when Michael is doing that like team building thing where he's like I want everyone up on the table because you're all above us and everything. I'm like, this is one of those things I'm like, I've seen stuff like this really happen and it's really awful to have to like relive that. So I think there's a lot of that going on with me with this episode. But I do agree that like Karen is a fantastic character and it was a shame that Rashida didn't hang out longer. I understand why. But yeah, so it's fun, but unfortunately it doesn't stand out in my mind as one of those episodes that I'm like, I can't wait to go back and watch this one. So.
Right, so,
she does come back to say, why are you singling out my line all these years later?
All right, Robert, you have a chance to save this one and get it on here before we move on.
Does that do anything for me? I don't think it does.
Well, so, I mean, you can
unanimously voted. I save it to get killed later. Like, is that the whole plan? I think it's more so for something that is kind of in balance, maybe. So no,
for what it's worth,
my save.
Hypothetically, if you save it and someone kills it, you do get your
save
back.
back.
So it's just a vicious circle over and
over.
I
didn't get someone to waste their kill.
But basically, so like if you were to save it and then someone were to kill it,
I am not saving it.
All right. Okay. So the merger is out. Once again, the merger is out. We move over to Vanessa now. What do you got?
This is getting so exciting. I'm having so much fun.
I had two ones that I wanted to talk about, but I guess I'll do this one to see if maybe people have this too. Who knows? Well, I guess we'll find out here in a moment. But this episode I actually really, really like because they do talk about it briefly early in early seasons, and then you don't really hear about it until later on, until basically Michael is gone, and that is Threat Level Midnight. Threat Level Midnight is probably one of my favorite episodes as well because you get this home movie from Michael Scott. And you kind of see the like returning characters come back a little bit, like Jan, and then you see Rashida Jones. Karen's character come back, and they have just the different. I'm gonna hump a real good, like lines for the episode. So yeah, Threat Level Midnight is great. There's just so many different things that I love about it. The song, the dance that they do, the Scarn, Michael Scarn. Just everything about it, and then him showing it to Holly, and then them kind of building some more of their relationship too. Like they just build off of each other. So I really, really like that. So that's why this.
All right. So Maxwell, we start with you. What are your thoughts on Threat Level Midnight?
It's a really enjoyable episode. I love that with Steve or Michael, however you want to look at it, pending departure. They finally decided to show us the film. I love that, like the details they went to make the actors sort of look like they did in earlier seasons. Obviously, putting John Krasinski back in his like season 2, season 3 Jim wig and stuff like that. And the hockey stuff especially is delightful because I'm a huge hockey fan. I had this in my top 20. It didn't make my top 10, so I'm going to pass on it for now with the caveat that it is a thoroughly enjoyable episode. We just only have 4 slots left, so this is where the strategery comes into play. I'm sorry.
So we go to Tim. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, similar thoughts. It's in my top 20, but I'm going to have to pass on it for now. But I do love this episode. Ever banged a bachelorette party, baby? Yeah, I mean, I love like it's so small, but I love like how invested Andy is in it when he's like the bartender.
Yeah.
And he's just like, I can't even get the damn game. And Michael's like, and it's almost like a real moment because Michael's like, don't ever change, and it's almost like he's like saying it to actually Andy, and like.
I just remembered the dance they all
do.
The dance, the scarn. You gotta learn how to do the scarn. And I love that it's a callback from season 2. I think it is where they do the read through of the play and the movie. And you gotta love the part where they blow Toby's head off, and Michael's like, by and far the most expensive shot of the movie. and then like when he murders Oscar's character because he needs to take his spot, and it's like so dark. I'm sorry. He's like murdering him, and then and like Jim, he's like I took the position because I wanted to impress a nameless receptionist or whatever. So yeah, it's a great episode. It's in my top 20. I'm gonna have to say no because I want to see what else we can get on here, but I won't be mad if it somehow made the list at the same time. So,
all right, Jen. So we go to you. This is already a destruction of Vanessa's heart. Are you going to continue that?
Does it matter if I don't?
Yeah, because it's only 2 right now.
Yeah, I mean,
okay, yeah. So unfortunately, then I am gonna have to kill it. But yeah, it is like it's a monumental episode just for the feel of the show. I love the Scarn dance. It just gets me every time. And I do love Creed being like his little hockey guru kind of character. He's like, he died.
Cherokee Jack.
Right. Yeah, Cherokee Jack. But yeah, I do like the idea of like everyone's actually really excited to watch it. But it was an interesting dynamic to actually show for the first time that like Holly and Michael don't actually agree on everything all the time, which is like was a rare choice for them to do because they're always so compatible. And it was like, no, this is like a real relationship. They don't always are going to see eye to eye and everything. So that was a cute little moment. And for Michael to have that and still like build from and be like, it's okay, it's stupid, I get it and everything. So that was like a big growth moment for him. So it is fun to see that. But unfortunately, yeah, it was mentioned before that it actually was first mentioned in season 2. I think it's the client episode, which is when Jan and Michael take Tim Meadows to Chili's, which is an excellent episode that almost made my list. But I actually enjoy them reading the script more than actually watching the film because it's just one of those great little things. And it had the whole thing where they had changed the character name to Dwight, and he's like the idiot and everything. So I like that because that's the early era of The Office of like everyone just having fun and doing these silly little kooky things that feel realistic. Whereas this is something that it's like, this is a TV show and we're going to do this crazy parody movie thing. So it is fun. It is definitely a great idea, but yeah, it does not make my list, unfortunately.
All right, Robert, you're the final say. It doesn't look like it's going through.
So we have a really big ass poster framed on our wall of a fan art of Threat Level Midnight.
It's beautiful.
I appreciate this episode so much. I do enjoy this episode so much. There is so much in this episode that is quotable. I love the fact that they do go back and they pull the characters from other eras. You even have Roy there with Pam, specifically for this. You have Jan back pulling a lounge singer, like her role in the Rocket. So you've got her role in The Rocketeer as a lounge singer, and now she's a lounge singer in this one, in the same type of like swanky police, secret.
And you got Helene.
And then you got so good.
And the incorporation of all these other characters does make it fun, and it makes it enjoyable. And like you said, why are you singling my line out? That's the only point where it like breaks the movie and just goes to Karen, and she's just like,
movie.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. However, it is like one of the more ones that when it does come on, I pay the least amount of attention to, because it is silly and absurd, and it doesn't really feel like The Office. It feels like The Office going on a TV show adventure. The only real part about it is the Holly and Michael stuff, where Michael does come to terms and realize, yeah, it is dumb, and Holly's right, and it's a big growth moment for Michael because he's all stubborn. You're a real pain in the ass. Like he's definitely growing more in this episode with Holly. It's what I love about Michael and Holly. It's why one of the other episodes is one of my favorite episodes as well. But it's a no for Threat Level Midnight.
All right. Well, Vanessa, you have a chance to save it if you'd like.
I'm gonna save it.
All right. Threat Level Midnight has been saved. Is there anyone who wants to kill it before we move on?
I don't hate it.
I know.
I just want to say one more thing too that I missed on saying it. I also love this because of Michael's or Steve Carell's ability to do hockey or skate. Because like he really can't skate in real life, so this was just their way of saying you can skate, and I love it.
I can hear the song that they play when he's doing his little.
I get no traction because I'm running on ice.
So I am not gonna kill Threat Level Midnight, but I am gonna take this opportunity to kill Andy's play.
That's fair.
Is anyone gonna save it before I drag it over?
Nope.
Since we're taking opportunities, then. I would like to take this opportunity to kill Money.
No.
I don't want to save it. There's some saboteuring going on.
I'm saving Money. I'm saving it.
Okay.
Okay. So Tim gets to kill back.
Now Money can't be killed, so Money's safe.
Yay!
I should cause a little anarchy and kill Dinner Party.
I thought about because I'm known for causing anarchy, and I was like, I'm gonna have to probably just kill something I nominate myself to be All
right, I'm gonna leave
leave
the save token on Money, so we know it's untouchable.
I know I saved already. I won't.
Okay.
Yeah.
I kind of want to see Robert kill Dinner Party just to see what the hell had happened.
No.
Nope. Moving on.
All right. So it's
Maxwell because it wasn't in my top 10. Yes, it was. Never mind. Keep going.
Okay. So we're getting down to the nitty gritty, although we now have 4 slots still. So I'm going to pick this episode because it has one of my favorite emotional moments in the entire series, delivered from maybe my second or third favorite character. She gives a huge speech towards the end of this episode that is something that I think was a long time coming. It's Beach Games. So Michael thinks he's a shoo-in for the corporate job, and he decides to have a Survivor-esque game of trials and tribulations at Scranton Lake that involves sumo wrestling and hot dog eating and fire coal walking. It has so many great jokes, like Andy getting stuck in his sumo outfit floating in the lake. But to me, why I love this episode so much is Pam doing the coal walk and no one seeing it, and then the incredible speech she delivers around the fire, where she just puts it all out there. Like, I broke off my wedding for you, Jim. How come none of you came to my art show? All this stuff that is one of my favorite, more dramatic moments in The Office. And I think Jenna Fischer's performance in this is maybe her finest work in the series. I just love this episode. So yeah.
All right. So going to Tim, what do you think of Beach Games?
Beach Games, in actuality, is an episode that is in my top 10. I took it out of my top 10 for this show because I wanted to spice things up. So I Pool Party is one I threw in there, and then there's another one that's on my list that I threw in there, and for that I had to take Beach Games out. I love this episode. I love like, I just love everything about it. I mean, like when they pick Stanley as one of the team captains, and Stanley's like, "Are you red or blue?" And he's like, "I don't care. You're a red team, no blue team." And then like we're Voldemort. That's the bad guy, Jim. Voldemort. And like, it's just, and then at the beginning they leave Toby there, so Toby's the one person at the office, like in his like swimsuit, and like beach outfit, just kind of doing mundane office stuff and looking like total sad face Toby, and where's Andy? Andy was never here, and Andy's just floating off in the. I was with a group called Dunder Mifflin.
Hello, is anyone there?
So good.
So many good stuff. I mean, you have Creed, being Creed, the weird Creed catching a fish. Oh, I didn't know there were hot dogs. And like,
give me the joke.
It's a great episode, but I'm gonna, because I want to like see what else we can get on here. And since I technically did take it out of my top 10, I'm gonna say no. However, I won't be mad if it makes it, and so that's where it's at. But I do love this episode so much.
All right, Jen, what about you?
Yeah, this it didn't make my top 10, but it's because I wanted to like highlight some different things. So I will say yes, because I agree. This is one of the great Pam Beesly moments. Like, honestly, Jenna Fischer really did most of the heavy lifting when it came to actual dramatic, real life moments in there. It's up there with there's this one and the one where they have the first reveal of the camera crew interrupting after the phone call. Like, that gets me every time. That's just a beautiful moment of acting from her on a otherwise very silly show. But yeah, the Beach Games, it's so much fun. I love the dynamic of Stanley like trying to give a shit for once, because he's like, oh, I actually could like get the job and everything, and he just can't do it. He can't even like hold on for like an hour. He's like, forget it, take me out. And I do love that Dwight is like, when they're doing like the egg race or whatever with the spoon, and Dwight's like yelling at Ryan the entire time, and he just gives up and throws it away. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. I love Angela like trying to sabotage Andy's team when he starts to float away. She's like, I don't understand what you want me to do. It's a beautiful moment. So it's a lot of fun. And yeah, Pam just always gets the short end of the stick. I love that he has the hot dog eating contest. He's like, oh, they're already pre-cooked, so you have about 5 minutes to cook all these, but it's fine. So yeah, it's a great episode. So I will say yes, even though it didn't make my top 10, because I am very confident that this is one that deserves to be on the list.
All right, Robert, what about you?
It is absolutely an enjoyable episode. I do love the competitiveness when it comes to wanting to be the manager. You see Stanley when he actually steps up, and the way he's booking it towards Jim and the face. They even go back and replay the facial expression.
Oh, it's going to die.
Up close.
On beach day.
Coming after him. So seeing that, how he does not want to work for another Michael, and how, Dwight obviously wants a job, and how Andy just slips up trying to get it too. But it's a great episode. Beach Games is definitely one that was a definitive moment as well for The Office, just in terms of Pam finally stepping out of that shadow that she's feeling, with Jim finally being back and being in the darkness, and actually just coming out straight up and telling Jim what she feels. She does recluse a little bit at the end when she's starting to tell too much of the truth, and then she's like, oh, my feet hurt, and she just kind of cuts it off. So she doesn't go all the way in. It takes a little bit of time.
But just the button on it of, great day. Like, it's just, she's so cute.
Finally, she rose up. Jim is powerful. Pam is powerful. Jim already was powerful by going to Stanford, and he got what he needed while he was there, and then he came back. He was ready. he was ready. And it doesn't happen until he goes back and finally asks Pam, then it's a date. But yeah, it was a very big moment for Pam. So Beach Games for sure. Yeah.
All right, Vanessa.
This was in my top 10 of episodes because I do love like I said, anytime they go outside of the office itself is great because they have all of these different things that happen with all of the characters and what you would feel like how they would react in a situation like that. I love what Pam does when she's like professing her like everything that she's kind of hold back and like tells everybody. And then Michael's like, that was great, Pam, but I'm looking for someone with a sales background. And I just love that so much.
It's a great moment.
And then, of course, like the egg. I know I'm by the rock. I just know like Kelly just being Kelly, and she's like, I know I'm by the big rock. You're not by the big rock. And then of course, Andy just being silly and like floating away as Andy would do.
So many beautiful memes too came
from that. Give me the job. Give me the job. Give me the job.
Give me the job.
So this is a yes for me.
There was a great meme too when The Office was leaving Netflix. It was like all the Office fans going to Netflix. It's like I was with a group called Dunder Mifflin.
Beach Games makes the list.
Yeah. Beach Games has made the list. Tim, do you said no? Do you want to kill it?
No, I'm fine right now. So
all right.
There's something else on here I would kill before I kill Beach Games. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, I believe that we go to you then. What is your next nomination?
I'm going to nominate something that probably is not going to get nominated whatsoever, but I just want to talk about something. And so I'm going to put this one on the list. This was also the other one I include on my list to get. This is one of the reasons I didn't put Beach Games on there because I wanted to talk about this episode. And we're going to talk about, Benihana Christmas. There's lots of Christmas episodes, and they're all fantastic. I don't know. I particularly like this one for some reason. It's longer than most episodes. It's a longer episode, but a lot of things happen in it. You have Michael and Carol breaking up because he's a weirdo and he photoshops himself into a photo with her and her kids in place of her ex-husband. And he wants to take her to Sandals, Jamaica. It's all inclusive. You know what that means. And and then they go to Benihana. All the stuff at Benihana is great because you have Andy and Jim and Michael and Dwight, but Dwight is like stuck over like on the other side of the table, and there's like a couple between them, and so he can't hear. And there's the great like joke where Jim is like he can't hear anything, so Jim's like telling him the wrong information. So he's like, "Oh, narcolepsy." And then and then now she's trying to say how she wants to butcher a goose, but she doesn't know how. And he's like, Cindy, over here. Make sure you have a bucket for all the blood and the feathers. And I love the fact that when they bring the girls back, they're not even the same like actresses, which is so funny. It's like clearly not the same people. And then Michael has to mark the girl because he can't tell them apart, so he puts a marker on her so he can tell her apart.
Where I am.
And you have the whole dueling parties you have the party to plan committees and the party planning committee. You have a margarita Christmas and a nutcracker Christmas, and they're no one wants to go to Angela's party because they're boring, but she has her baked goods, and her baked goods are great. And she sabotages it by getting rid of the keyboard or the karaoke cord. Daryl's got him back. Let me get my synthesizer. And all the songs are great. You have Kevin singing Alanis Morissette very aggressively. You. I don't know. And then you have this is the start. I mean, again of Michael and Jan, because obviously that's who he calls at the end, and she accepts his invitation to Sandals, Jamaica. And all right, man. So, yeah, all right, I don't expect this to make it, but I wanted to talk about it because I do love this episode.
Well, we go to Jen.
Yeah, like there are a lot of fantastic Christmas episodes in this series, and this is one of the top ones. But unfortunately, I think I'm gonna have to say no just based on where we are right now. But yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff in this one. I do love the battle of the party planning committees of the two different things of Kevin trying to decide of. Well, Angela's will have brownies, but it will also have Angela. So it's a lot of fun, and yeah, I think this one does have the Angela and Dwight singing "Little Drummer Boy," which is just one of those precious little moments for them because it's her favorite song. She mentions it really early in the series, but yeah, it's really cute. and it is super cringe with Michael and everything that he's trying to do. But you get another one of those nice little Michael Jim moments at the end of like, you just had a rebound, and Michael like lights up. He's like, I did. I'm like an adult. But yeah, so it's a lot of fun. But yeah, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to say no.
All right, Robert, what about you?
I do like that realization that Michael does end up having with Jim after the fact. He's like, she was the one. No, she wasn't. Like, it knocks him back down to earth, because he just gets
when he admits that I marked her arm, I was like, oh my God.
And that laugh afterwards. And that's the thing, is there's a couple moments in this episode where it's just genuine good fun. And the one part that always stuck out to me was when Michael does say, he's like, well, you know how all waitresses look alike?
They all waitresses look alike.
And the way he says it, and like they genuinely laugh off of the joke, like Roy and Daryl, like they bust up laughing, and that's real. Like when you see it, like it's almost like as if he improv that part, and it was just, or hearing it for the first time, you genuinely bust a gut laughing at it. But yeah, it is a great episode. I don't go into your place and touch your Hello Kitty backpack.
Your Hello Kitty backpack.
And yeah, I mean the Nagasaki. Most places won't make it because eggnog is seasonal. It's like, no, Andy, it's horrible. And those people are assholes that didn't let Dwight sit with his party. Like they should have moved their ass over.
That's not cool.
It's family style. No, it's not.
Yeah, it was on steak. Like we are going to go to the Benihana and film there because
eventually
it's a location that for Chris, like it is one of the quintessential Christmas episodes of The Office is Benihana Christmas. Funny enough, it's not the one I put on my list, so I'm gonna have to say no.
Well, I'm gonna be going to that Benihana with you, Robert. Going over to Vanessa, what about you?
Same here. So I really love this episode, and it was in contention to be in my top 10, and I kind of pushed it off for another Christmas episode because there's another one that I absolutely love, probably a little bit more. But one of my all-time favorite things about this episode is where they're singing Your Body's a Wonderland, and he's singing to the girl like he's like, yeah, like this is her, and then he sees the one that he actually came with on the right, and he's like, oh, wait a minute, which one is which? And it just cracks me up every single time because he's just
you rock.
So into the song.
You rock.
And then all of a sudden he's like, oh wait, I'm singing to the wrong girl. Or like when he's talking to her, he's like, so what do you think about what? Like,
you're so cute.
Where's my girl? I can't see her. Where is she?
You know where I am. Oh, Michael. I think you would know, especially when he's talking about like the knife he's using.
Is that when he calls Jan at the very end and asks her to go to candle?
Yeah.
Ooh, that makes it even more powerful episode too.
Yeah, but it's a no for me, unfortunately.
Okay, Maxwell, what about you?
So where are we at?
It's not going to make it.
It's not going to make it. It would literally. It still doesn't make it. It's already not going to unless Tim wants to save it.
Okay, so this was number 11 on my list when I was putting this all together. I love it. I think it's, The Office has many great Christmas episodes. This one stands out to me, partly probably because I'm a whore for Benihana. Any chance I can to go, pre-COVID, I would go. I love it. But it's also so funny. It has like all the jokes he said, the karaoke, the waitresses, and then the ending asking Jan to go to Sandals, and then the fallout of that, the photo, everything. It's not in this episode, but it's one of my favorite.
No, that's not Jan. That's Urkel Grew.
Right. So, and also like looking at what else I have on my list, I don't think some of them would have made it. So if I had an impact, I would have said yes, but I don't. So it doesn't really matter unless Tim is going to save it.
Let's I'll go ahead and save it. And I want someone to use a kill. So let's go ahead and save it and someone go ahead and kill it if you want to, or else it's going to be there. And I'm okay with that.
I'm going to kill it.
Ooh.
So I keep my save. Nice.
So
and that's
Vanessa has killed a Benihana Christmas.
I did.
That's
I
fine.
killed it. In the name of Nutcracker Christmas, I killed it.
In the name of Nutcracker Christmas.
So that means we move to Jen now. We still only have 3 spots remaining.
Okay, so I'm starting to panic because, probably won't come back around to me at this point. So if I find the correct one, there we go. All right, So this is one of my absolute favorite episodes. It's actually my number 3 that I had on the list, but there's just so much going on in it. It is from season 3. It is known as The Initiation, otherwise known as Pretzel Day. Okay, so this is the episode. There are 3 major storylines going on of Dwight is kind of trying to train Ryan as like he never really had a friendship with Jim, so he's trying to show him the ropes so that they can actually like form a team and be actual friends. So he drags him to Shroot Farms, which I think this is the first appearance of Shroot Farms, and definitely it's the first appearance of my cousin Mose, which is fear, and you have to wrestle him and everything. So he's just hazing him the entire time, which I always enjoy seeing a good Ryan like suffering kind of thing because he's just so smug about everything. This is early Ryan, so he doesn't quite deserve it at this point, but he still considers himself better than everyone in the office, so it does feel good to see that happen. But the other storyline of we have Pretzel Day is going on in the office, which means that everyone gets a free soft pretzel, which is both Stanley and Michael's favorite day. That's one of my favorite Stanley moments of his little speech of like, I work at a job where I get paid too little, go home to a house with too much mortgage and a kid that goes to a school I can't afford, but I like Pretzel Day. So yeah, it's just a lot of fun because at the same time, like Jan told Pam to like watch Michael's productivity for the day. So she has like his schedule of like Bill Cosby impressions, stood in line for a pretzel, took a nap and stuff like that. But you do get to see that Michael actually does get his job done once again. He's the boss for a reason. Even though he had this insane day, he actually made a really big sale. So good on you, Michael. And then there's also a small storyline of over at Stanford. It's the Battle of the Squeaky Chair, which is just one of those cute little moments between Jim and Karen and Andy to a certain extent of he gets to sing the Love Me song, which is always fun. Loveful. But yeah, it's just, there's a lot going on and there's a lot of cute little moments. And yeah, it's a personal favorite. I just really like Pretzel Day for some reason. So yeah, this may not make it, but it's an absolute personal favorite for me.
All right, so we're going to start with Robert. What are you thinking, sir?
I do like the cold open to this one too. It's when Dwight's trying to give the brain teasers to Ryan.
Teasers, yeah. It was his mother.
Damn it!
The doctor is his mom.
Yeah, I do love the fact that we get to go to Shroot Farms. I do love the fact that we get Mose in there as well. Pretzel Day obviously definitely is a most quoted or at least most remembered when it came to at least one of the episodes of the earlier off. What season? That was season 3, right?
This is season 3, episode 5. And it's written by PJ Novak because they were like, it's going to be a riding heavy episode, so just go with it. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it definitely does show those moments too where Dwight takes somebody under his wing and tries to Ryan, a little bit of respect for him. So I do like this episode a lot. It's not in my list because I think it was more one of the quaint episodes of The Office, one of the ones where not big things happen, which is what's great about The Office. You know, it's those quaint episodes. I wish we would have gotten another Pretzel Day. I wish they would have had Pretzel Day occur again and center it around these moments that do typically take place at workplaces that you're looking forward to.
It's like it's an actual office.
Yeah, exactly. So it would have been, oh, here comes Pretzel Day again. I love that they did that with the holidays too. You didn't have to have a whole season of holiday. You just needed one episode to kind of imprint that time period. So I am kind of missing that additional Pretzel Day. They do a good job with this one. The works, you got it in his face when he's like, oh.
The works.
But yeah, I'm going to have to say no for full-on initiation. It's a good one.
We go to Vanessa now. What are your thoughts?
I'm unfortunately gonna have to say no as well, but I do, like you said, I wish they would bring it back because it does kind of show that they that this is a working building with other offices in it, and not just Dunder Mifflin and Vance Refrigeration. I would have loved to see them kind of interact with some other ones. They do a little bit with like the managers or the CEOs,
the 5 bosses,
the 5 bosses. But
WB Jones,
I would have loved to see maybe interact with a little bit more people in the like the park as a whole. But I do love some of the instances in there, like Pretzel Day, like back of the line. What a bunch of Marys you are.
The one time that Stanley and Michael are on the same page. That's a beautiful moment.
It's Pretzel Day.
Yep. That whole scene, I love that whole scene. And then it also comes back to like there is a time like later on in different season at the very, very, very end, where I think it's like season 9, where you see.
I think it's the last season.
Yeah, where you see Stanley eating a pretzel, and he's like, "We've all changed," and he's eating a pretzel. So
he's eating the pretzel, so it's pretzel day. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's pretzel day, but yeah, unfortunately, we'll have to say no.
I just think he likes pretzels.
Maybe.
No, he likes meatballs.
He likes anything. It won't be mentioned, but when they do the store opening and they have the triangle and he has a slice of pizza in the triangle, I love that.
All right, Maxwell, it's already down to 2 no's. Where are you at?
I'm also going to say no. I really like this episode. Pretzel Day is great. Ryan on Schrute Farms. If I'm not mistaken, it's our first real glimpse at the farm.
I think so.
Is this when we first meet Mose in person?
This is definitely Mose's first appearance. I think it's both, though. Yeah.
So it has a lot of great stuff in it. I agree. It would have been nice to see Pretzel Day again. And for what it's worth, especially in the early seasons, I do think BJ Novak was one of the most reliably excellent writers on the show. Him and Mindy, churned out some of the best episodes. But just because of how many slots we have left and other ones I'd like to see on it, I'm going to pass. But again, all of these are good episodes. There hasn't been a single one yet where I'm like, nope, I don't like it. It's just a matter of like the little differences between what I would like to see on and not. So sorry, Jen.
All right, Tim.
Yeah, I echo what everyone has really said. It's a great episode. I'm going to say no out of selfish reasons because we have only 3 spots left. But I absolutely love it. I mean, obviously having the first appearance of Schrute Farms and Mose is huge. And then the Pretzel Day stuff is just, it's hilarious and incredible. So great episode. I mean, what episode isn't great with The Office, really? So, yeah.
All right, Jen, unfortunately, the initiation is out and you have used your save on money. So we move on. Initiation is out. Robert, what are you bringing to bat?
It is the beginning of the end, in my opinion, for Michael Scott. And for me, it's one of the romantic in me, in my romance for The Office and things that I really like and enjoy and want to see come to an end, and eventually it does. In my opinion, a great way. It's Goodbye Toby Part 2. However, it's Goodbye Toby. It's Part 1 and Part 2 if we're just going to combine them because it is an arcing story. And for me, it's the introduction of Holly Flax to The Office. And it is the beginning of the end of Michael Scott at Dunder Mifflin. When they're sitting on the floor and they're fixing the chair and they do the whole Yoda thing, which does end up reciprocating in the end when he's proposing to her and they're on the floor and he's like giving her the ring and all that. And he's doing his whole Yoda speak once again. Just like in before. Was that when he did E.T. or was that just Yoda? Did he do Yoda then? See, that's the thing. It's interchangeable.
No, it's Yoda. It's Yoda.
It's Yoda, E.T.
They do Yoda.
Yoda's in E.T., so it works. But the incorporation of Holly Flax to The Office, finally, like he was so ready to go guns blazing on another HR rep. And it all changed. It all changed for Michael. There was a little bit of a deterrence there, too, with Kevin showing him what's going on with freaking Jan. And that causes a little bit of a hiccup. But when Michael does rise above that eventually, very proud of him for that. But seeing Goodbye Toby play out gives me one of my favorite moments, which is when he's the joyous serenade that Michael Scott gives Toby, the Goodbye Toby song. It's been nice, hope you find you Toby, see ya. Like, he's so into it. It is the pinnacle of Michael Scott excitement and joy in that Goodbye Toby song. But so many other moments in this arc too, at least when it comes to Jim ready to propose and gets under Andy. And they do such a good job too at hiding the fact that Angela's pregnant as well in the episode. But the cold open is freaking when he's trying to reach for the Bluetooth and he turns his face and you see his hand and Dwight's trying to get Bluetooth off Jim's headset because he linked it to his phone.
Oh, hello, mother.
Tell father I've married. And then the outro, the final, because it was a season finale too, is Phyllis rolling in on Dwight and Angela as well. So the Goodbye Toby to me is just one of the best finales to where it's like, oh my god, that whole oh my god, where are we going from here type mentality. But at the same time, seeing this element come into Michael Scott to where he's in love with her like right out of the gate. Like he is awestruck, and it's just different. It's different from everybody else, and it doesn't work out. And he goes through all these other girls to get back to Holly, but that was the beginning right there for me. Is Goodbye Toby.
All right, so we go over to Vanessa. What do you think about Goodbye Toby?
I love this episode, or this like 2-parter episode as well, but it didn't make my list, and it was in contention. Like I was going back and forth between this and another episode. I do really like this episode because it is the interaction you get with Holly. You first see her. I love the whole part where he's just like where Toby's kind of showing her around with everybody, and then they go and talk to Michael, and Michael's like, yeah, whatever. And then he wins him over without her realizing it when she's like, what do you do to him? Like when she's like, Toby, and he's like, he tortures me. Like he did this, and that moment right there, I love because it like flips Michael 180 where he's like, well, what I failed to realize is that not all monsters are bad. And I just love that interaction with him too. And then of course the little silly like hazing that they're trying to do with Holly too. It's so sad. Like they tell them about how like Kevin is not really oh, no.
Yep. You drive your own car. Yep. That's my car.
I'm so good for you, Holly.
I am so gonna bang Holly.
And then there's a whole other moment too where Michael is on the Ferris wheel with Holly, and there was that slight moment where he was about to say that's what she said, and he was like, no, some
that's what she,
like he stops it, and he's like, some companies do that. So I love those two moments with Michael.
He puts on a filter for
but
Holly.
It's a no for me for this episode.
Yeah.
All right, Maxwell, we move to you. Goodbye Toby.
Yeah, I again find myself in the position of really, really liking an episode and having to say no. Holly Flax is a great character. It's a perfect introduction to her. Her and Michael have immediate, instant chemistry that we would see play out for the next 3+ seasons. And this sort of Toby leaving was really a fun thread that they dealt with. But I'm just gonna say no, and in the effort of brevity and time, move it on.
All right, Tim, we go to you. You could start reversing this episode's fate right now.
I'm not going to do that, unfortunately. I do like this episode a lot. But yeah, because we only have 3 spots, I have to really start being super selfish, and I'm going to say no. But this episode's great. I mean, you still have to. I mean, Michael, like with the whole like stuff with Jan, it like still causes problems with him because he still can't quite get over that Jan hump, and he starts thinking that he's are you a baby mama? Are you a baby mama? I'm a baby mama. Or whatever. That's a later episode, but it all stems from this interaction with her, obviously, and and then the whole like the song is great. I feel really bad for Jim because he had this elaborate thing planned out. He paid for the fireworks, and then Andy just swoops up. He's like, it seemed like the right time. He always carries a ring around in him. You never know when you're gonna need it. And and then obviously with Phyllis catching Dwight and Angela, that's big too because Phyllis uses that to her advantage to be able to kind of exercise some control over Angela. So, but it's a no.
All right, Jen, it's not going to get through. Would it have been a yes or a no for you?
I mean, sure, I'll say yes just for the hell of it. But yeah, there's a lot that happens in this episode. It does feel like one of the most like major cliffhangers for the series just because so many plot lines have been set up that will be followed through on. But yeah, it's really fun. I love that like this has it's the transfer from Angela to Phyllis for the party planning committee, and it's like the biggest party they've ever had because between Toby leaving and Jim trying to propose to Pam, like the two of them threw in so much money that it's essentially like a carnival in the parking lot. So yeah, it's really fun. And yeah, Holly and Michael will always be like the relationship of the show for me. Like I understand Jim and Pam was like the cute thing early on, but by the end of the series, like they become kind of insufferable in certain facets. So yeah, it's Holly and Michael all the way. And yeah, their first introduction is just super cute and it continues to be that way pretty much the entire series. So it's hard to say no to that. So I will say yes, even though it doesn't matter. So there you go.
Sit on floor, put together chair, we will.
All right. Well, goodbye. Toby is going to say goodbye to
Screw you guys.
Crew.
Feel no pain. Get out of there.
And we move to Vanessa. Vanessa, what would you like to nominate?
This is probably not going to go in, but I just want to talk about it because I do love this episode because it is one of those big ones for just kind of all of the characters as a whole, but as in particular 2 characters because it's kind of like the peak of them too. I put Niagara Part 2, but Niagara Part 1 and Part 2 are together. And this is again another episode where they're not in the office and they're doing something outside of the office. So I have a trend here of picking episodes when they're not in the office. But I absolutely love this episode because, we've been, rooting for Pam and Jim since the beginning. And then finally they're coming together and getting married. And when you have the office with you getting married at the same time, a lot of things are going to go wrong or a lot of things can go right. And I absolutely love this episode, especially when back when they were on the booze cruise and she's like, no, I don't want to get married without my mom. But then in this episode, they technically get married on a boat without her parents. So it was really more so of not wanting to be with Roy and being more so with Jim. And then, of course, doing the dance during the whole wedding scene and then the whole relationship between Isabel and Dwight as well. Too busy knocking boots. So it's very heartwarming. They were living together with Mima and stuff like that. And Michael and kind of pulling a Michael at the reception or rehearsal dinner. But it was great.
All right, Maxwell, we start with you. Niagara, yay or nay?
Yeah, it's an easy yes for me. This was on my list. I didn't separate it out via part 1 or part 2, just as the whole episode. There's so much about this episode I love, just from like a production standpoint. The fact that it was just like a couple episodes into season 6 and not a finale or a premiere was a bold choice. There's so much great humor to it. Everything with grandmother, Kevin's shoes kills me every time. Michael having to sleep in the ice machine room. Michael getting together with Pam's mom. But to me, as someone who did quite passionately root for Jim and Pam throughout the years, seeing them finally get married and done in such a beautiful way. Like when they start doing like the YouTube bit, with the dance in the aisles that was going to happen. And then it cuts to them getting married on the ship in Niagara Falls is so like subtle and beautifully done. The way the light hits the water spray, the way it's shot. And, this episode was directed by Paul Feig, who directed many of the best episodes of The Office and has gone on to be an accomplished filmmaker in his own right. Did stuff like A Simple Favor and Bridesmaids and Spy and all that good stuff. In that book I was talking about earlier, apparently they basically rewrote everything that was going to happen. So everything with like the dance was originally supposed to be Roy trying to come in on a horse and save and like rescue Pam. And then there was going to be a shot later on in the episode where you see the horse fall off of Niagara Falls and die, which both I think they decided not to do because it was a little too dark and also like logistically didn't work out. So they had to come up with on the fly what to do, and it worked so well. And also they had to go back and shoot the wedding on the boat a second time because the first time they did that they got so wet because they were trying to follow the rules that the ship company had put them. And then the captain was like, I love The Office. Whatever you guys want to do, we can do it. So it's a perfect episode. Great ensemble work. They're out of the office, and I think they nail the emotional, like that shot that's sort of at the end with just Jim and Pam from behind them in silence with the falls in the background. It's something like I would, get a high quality print of that and put it up in my house. So yes, it's a yes, big yes.
We go to Tim.
Yeah, I'm going to say no, but this is actually one of my favorite episodes as well. It would be in my top 20. It could probably easily slip into my top 10. I love it so much. But to be selfish, I'm going to say no. But yeah, there's so many great moments. I mean, when they first arrive at the hotel and they inquire about the honeymoon suite, and they're like, oh, someone's in it for the night. And they look over and it's Andy, and he's like, I'll break in the bed for you. And Pam's like, I'm gonna need the name and number of anyone that's the cleaning lady. And then like when they're partying at the bar and And Dwight comes up and he's like, "Twins, Michael. I found twins." And he's like,
"Oh yeah,"
he's like talking to a very beautiful woman, and he's like, "Twins, you understand?" And it's two guys, and he's like,
"Fascinating."
and Michael looks at him, he's like, "What is wrong with you?" And then,
I'm gonna switch this out. Just
to say Niagara. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that okay with everybody?
There you go.
Yeah.
That's good. That's beautiful.
But, I mean, yeah, and like the wedding is obviously beautiful, and then Jim like talking about how that was actually Plan B. The church was Plan C or whatever, and he's like, and Plan A was marrying her a long time ago.
Oh yeah. Oh, I just
pretty much the day I met her, and
I just got chills when you said that. I'm gonna cry.
It just kind of sums it all up, and I mean, it's a great episode. I'm gonna say no still, but I have to probably make it. But yeah, Michael, and then you have. I love the moment with Grandma too, where she's like, I had to watch a film called Bruno, and I had to sit there and let it just happen to me. We all feel you. We all feel you with that, Granny. We all feel you with that.
I have one nude, but that one's for me.
That was clearly a yes from Tim, is what I'm getting from all this.
Correct? I mean, I'm going to say no, but
so that was a yes. We move up to Jen.
I mean, it didn't make my top 10, but that's just because I was being weird. Yeah, I'm going to say yes. Like, this is one of the best weddings on TV ever. I know I just made fun of Jim and Pam, like in the last one, but yeah, this is like the height of their relationship, and it's just a beautiful moment all around. I have always loved the scene when Jim kind of lets it slip at the rehearsal dinner about the baby, that Michael was like, "I can't believe it wasn't me," and I'm like, "I can't believe it either." So yeah, and I do love when they first get to the hotel, like Dwight and Michael have like this little switcheroo of Michael did not book a reservation, and he was like, "Oh, they do." Dwight kind of tricks him into like saying like, "Oh, sorry, actually the reservation's under your name, and you would totally let me in, right?" He goes, "No," so that he doesn't get it. So it's just a great little moment between them. But yeah, the final shot of just Jim looking at the camera and doing his little Jim face, but it's finally a happy Jim face. It's a beautiful moment. And yeah, the horse story is so good. Okay, like I remember hearing about that, and it's fantastic because it even goes further of the plot line was Roy was going to ride up on a horse, and that's a horrible idea. So I'm glad that didn't happen. But also they wanted Dwight to be obsessed with Niagara Falls and be like, doing the math, you can go over if you're riding on a horse. So it was going to go over the falls because Dwight was going to try to ride over the falls on the horse. And you were going to see it in the background of him like panicking and hopping off and swimming away, but the horse falls as they're watching the waterfall. So I'm glad that didn't happen because it's such a beautiful moment otherwise, but that's freaking hilarious that was actually a thing that somebody wrote down. So it's a yes from me.
All right, so it is going to get through. Robert, do you have any thoughts on Niagara?
Now I know. I wonder how could they get such a hotel? Now I know. No, it's Mima for sure. This episode is a lot of fun. It's one of the episodes I really do enjoy when it's done. I watch it from Andy, the way he strolls away after he gets that whole break in the bed, and he does like that little chuckle and then walks away all chest. And then Mr. Malone, we had to destroy your shoes. It was a sanitary issue. He's just wearing his freaking Kleenex box on his shoes. And just how things happen in dance as well, too. Like, you got Dwight kicking Isabel in the face, which gets every single time that it happens. Every single time.
But what gets me the most is when he goes to go like this. Like, he's like helping her.
They're still walking forward. There are so many amazing, memorable moments. The music is good. It's toe tappy. I know it was a YouTube thing when I first saw it. But yeah, the endings between that and what actually transpired when they got married. It is a very well done wedding episode. One of the finest in television. And it was on my list. So yes, for sure, for Niagara. And you got Helene, the whole thing with him, leaving it on a cliffhanger.
6 numbers. And it would have been a whole telephone.
My dogs are barking every time we go to amusement park. That's what we say when we get back to a bed. My dogs are barking.
So the Niagara has made it on. Tim, you do have a chance. Would you like to kill this one?
Well, there are far too many saves on the board still. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and kill it.
What's the point of that?
So Tim has killed Niagara. Does anyone want to save it?
Yeah, I got it.
All right, Maxwell has decided to save Niagara.
Listen, I love the episode, but in the words of Kevin Malone, that's Survivor Island.
So we are down to the last 2 spots, starting with Maxwell. No pressure, friend. What do you
Okay.
got?
So I was trying to decide if I wanted to throw up one that I just want to talk about that I don't think is going to make it, but I'm going to put this one up because I think it's brilliant, and I'll be upset if it doesn't make it. It's another 2-part episode. I think it arguably has maybe one of the best openings in the history of the show, and that's Stress Relief. This episode packs so much in. So Dwight sets a fire in the office. He's making the handles hot, and just the utter chaos that happens. Throwing the cat.
Save Bandit. The water. Everything is hilarious. And then Michael decides to start examining the stress between him and doing yoga and meditation, and that he sees that he's the stress. It also has a through line of Pam's parents having trouble with their marriage while they're watching this movie. So this was an episode that aired after the Super Bowl, and they wanted to get some big stars in it, but to maintain the quote veracity of the show, because it's a documentary, they decided to have them get a copy of this early movie that has Jack Black and Cloris Leachman in this just ridiculous movie. And then if that all wasn't enough, part 2 is the roast of Michael Scott, which to me is some of the funniest stuff they've ever did, with his little drum, and as he gets sadder and sadder, and then at the end he starts roasting them. Boom, roasted. Boom, roasted. And then when you find out what it is that Jim had said to Pam's dad, it's such a great, sweet moment. So I just love everything about this 2-parter.
All right. So the stress relief episode is on the table. Tim Franco.
As much as I love this episode, to be selfish, I'm going to say no. But I do love this episode. I mean, clearly, we got the pillow here.
Yes. Yeah, I didn't even mention that part.
We have, but I love the roast scene so much. So many great lines, with Angela. He's like, Angela, where's Angela? Whoa, I didn't see you there behind the grain of rice. Boom, roasted. So funny. So yeah, I love this episode, but because of where we're at right now, just gonna say no. But it's a great episode.
Moving up to Jen.
Oh, this is an absolute yes for me. I was gonna do this one next if it didn't get called out, but I had a feeling that someone else would say it. No, this one, it's probably one of the most popular ones in terms of just that cold open. I think is the most iconic moment because I think this aired right after the Super Bowl, and that was the thing that they were using to really promote it the entire time. But yeah, it's so much fun, and I absolutely love the CPR class where Dwight just when she's trying to teach them how to do it, is you have to do it to the beat of Staying Alive, and Michael starts singing what was it? Oh shit, I don't know. He's doing a different song instead, and they're like, no, and then Kelly starts dancing to his head, and it turns into a party. Yeah, so it's amazing, and it gets really chaotic really quickly, but at the same time, it has all that kooky, funny stuff, but it also has one of the best Jim Pam moments ever in the entire show, and it's brought about by this the whole movie thing is such a weird choice, but it got you to that moment where you really get to see the full relationship between Jim and Pam, and that's another one of those great Jenna Fisher acting moments at the end of that, where she finally gets to hear why her father made the decision to separate from her mother. So it's a great episode. Absolute yes.
All right, Robert.
It has a well done choreographed action sequence that you don't typically get from The Office when they go all in for it. That definitely is imprinted in the brain as one of the more memorable moments. The sound Michael makes shouting out the window. Ah! Ah! He breaks the window. They throw the copier. Or they throw the copier. I think he throws the computer out the fucking window. But yeah, it's a definitely great moment. Setting up the rest of the episodes, it is the whole reason why the whole episode happens, and they come in and do the whole CPR thing. But Hannah stuff, if you told me this was in this episode, that's the episode it's in. The Hannah stuff I love the interactions with Jim and Pam. I love the whole, man, they know all about movies than I do. Like the way they're analyzing, talking about the Jim's interacting with Pam's dad, which I love all that stuff. But something about that day movie is like where we go really spoofy, in my opinion, with it. And even though I love Bruce Leachman, I love Jack Black, and when she's going up the stairs, he's like, oh, and he's all crying. It sucks me out of it a little bit.
Weird.
I kind of stopped paying attention at those points too. So because of that, I have to say, even though I love all the different moments that come with the hello Clarice and the shit on his face, but I have to say no.
All right, so Vanessa, you were in a very interesting spot. You could really make or break this episode making it on here, because we were at 2 yeses and 2 nos. Vanessa, this all rides on your vote.
I know, and I was really hoping it wasn't going to. There are so many great moments. Like the cold open is perfect. The whole CPR scene is perfect. We're in the parking lot. That's how I know you. Like every interaction in that scene is just. It's so good. I love. I could go back to just that scene and watch that over and over and over again. And I even have, like when he takes off the little thing off of the mannequin and he wears it. So I have that as a Funko Pop.
Everything is a Funko Pop. Now he's glistening in the light. Look at him. It's God.
But unfortunately, I am going to say no because it wasn't, on my list. Although I should have put it on the list. But it isn't. It is a no for me. But I do love that interaction with Pam and Jim and that whole storyline because it does bring them together a little bit more, and it's very like heartwarming. And then the whole CPR scene is probably one of my all-time favorite scenes. Just like that, like a specific scene in an episode of The Office.
Well, that does that. Stress relief is no more. Unfortunately, Maxwell, I do apologize.
Now I sort of wish I hadn't used my save on Niagara.
I know.
So we moved down to Tim, who's giggling like a little monster because he knew what he was doing. He's put you guys up through the ringer. There's 2 spots left. What do you got?
We have to work for these spots, man. I'm the only one that seems to want to play this game. So let's just. They
all deserve.
It's true, they do, and that's the thing. That's why. When I knew we were doing this, it was going to be difficult, but I still had to play the game, and so I'm just doing it. But
you're always making it difficult.
Yep, always making things difficult. I'm going to throw this one up there. I don't think it really has a chance, but I love it, and so we're going to do Garage Sale, which is not the culmination, but like the Michael and Holly's relationship. Obviously, this is like the pinnacle, and then they leave for Colorado. We're moving to Colorado. I'm going with Holly. Yeah, all of us? Yep. But yeah, they have the garage sale in the office, which in its own right is hilarious because everyone's trying to sell their little knickknacks, and you have Dwight basically bartering with everyone, trying to get the best thing, and then he ends up doing the Mr. McGillicuddy's magical legumes or whatever they're called, and the whole bit at the end with Jim, with Dwight planting the legumes and then walking away, and Jim switching out the legumes. With fully grown like
he does a little heel kick.
Just a little heel kick as he goes, and this is, I just said this, but this is where you have the Kevin playing the game of Dallas with Daryl and who else is he playing it with? Is it with Andy, right? Yeah, and so he stiffs him out of the money, because the game isn't going the way he wants to, but then he ends up taking all the money. He's like, I'm not playing with you guys ever again. But of course, the big thing is the proposal, Michael and Holly, and that is just like one of my favorite moments in the entire show. You have Michael's got his dumb ideas. He's gonna like propose to her in fire, and Pam's like, Michael, no, you can't do this. And then they sit down with him in the conference room, and they're like, he thinks they're going to talk him out of it, but they're just like, no, she's perfect. It's meant to be. This is wonderful. She's the one. And he just like laughs in the Michael way, like he just giggles. And then of course you have the proposal itself, which is incredible, going through like taking their. Oh, nice.
Interesting. I could see some people who would be good competitors here, Eric, if you're looking.
They were competitors in the last one for sure.
She won number 1.
But the proposal is incredible. Walking through the office, all the moments, and then the scene where they're going through all the people, and everyone's at, they're each asking, Holly, will you marry me? And Michael's little like comments about him, where he's like, that marriage would be a sham. I paid for that, and then Ryan, will you marry me? No, and he's like, only one I was worried about. But and then they get to the room, the candles, and they do the whole Yoda proposal, which is so bad, and but great. And then the fire alarm goes off, and it's just perfect. I mean, you got all the funny stuff with the actual garage sale, but like the actual like meat of the episode is definitely the proposal, and the last like 5 minutes with that is beautiful. So, that's that.
All right, so garage sales on the table. We start with Jen. What are your thoughts?
We have never been on the same page more. Once again, this was going to be the thing I brought up next. I absolutely love this episode. I said earlier, Holly and Michael, they are my relationship for The Office. And this is just a perfect culmination for their relationship. But at the same time, it's also a really funny episode. The entire just Dwight doing his magical trade-ups from the humble thumbtack to the most expensive item of the telescope, but also a cute squid in the middle of it was really cute.
And then Ryan bottling pesto or whatever.
Pesto and the salsa. My mom makes the best pesto. But yeah, it's really cute. And I absolutely love when Pam first sees him doing the gasoline in the parking lot. Hi, Michael, I just thought I'd come out here and try to stop you. And just having when he tells her, just the delivery of the line of like, Michael, you had 2 ideas today, and one of them was great, and the other one was horrible. And it's just so cute that like his dream team of what are we going to do about this is Pam, Jim, Oscar, and Ryan. Like, I wouldn't pick those 4, but it works so well in that moment because like they're all working through. If you find yourself on top of a horse, you did something wrong, and like it's really good. And they have the ring. He shows her the ring, and it's 3 years salary instead of 3 months. And it's like, holy shit! And it's like, you think she's not gonna like it? I think she's gonna like it. Like, so it's really cute, and I just absolutely love the way they decided to go through it because even though Holly honestly did not have a lot of time on the show, she was used to the full potential, and just the way that he's walking her through the office. It's like, this is where we first met, and this is where like it's really cute. But yeah, and I do love that it's a very real reaction to the situation of Holly needs to go home because of her parents are like kind of losing their mental capabilities. So it's a real problem. And for Michael to just instantly be like, that's something like, I don't care. I just want to be with you. And it's a beautiful moment. So yeah, props to The Office for giving us not 1, but 2 fantastic relationship episodes that I think deserve to be on this list. So yes, please, garage sale on the list.
All right, we move up to Robert.
Garage sale. It's the bookend of what I loved about Michael and Holly. I don't even remember if she's there after the fact because then he's talking to her on the phone, and at some point she's gone. So I don't think she does come back. I feel like that was like the season finale too.
Yeah, this is her last episode. Yeah.
So it's like for me, it is the bookend when it comes to Michael and Holly. And it's great. Everything about it is great, and the garage sale is funny, and they've got a lot of comedic bits. I think the Lagoons is over the top when it comes to convincing Dwight that they're magical beans that will grow, but it's still fun. But at the same time, it pushes the limits of, reality when it comes to what Dwight, I think, would believe. However, when we went to the Dunder Mifflin filming location, the first place I looked when we walked up to that gate was where those lagoons were planted. So big empty spot right there. And it's a memorable moment, even when Jim does a little sidekick. But at the same time, for me, surrounding the moment doesn't feel as strong as the moment itself, whereas like the meat and potatoes is in the last portion of it. So for me, I'd say no.
All right, we move to Vanessa.
Okay, before I get into this, can I
make a move?
Can I make a move, sort of, if it's possible? Could I unsave Threat Level Midnight?
No.
What I will say is if the entire panel is okay with it, yes, but everyone has to be okay with that.
Yeah, because now when we're thinking about it, and I was sitting here, Oh, I was like, I think I like stress relief more than I'd like threat level midnight.
Hold on. Did any transactions take place with threat level midnight? Did somebody else kill
we
it?
all said we leave it. Yeah.
No. So everyone has to agree to that.
So
no.
So Vanessa, your proposal is that you want to undo your save on threat level midnight, therefore killing it, and use that save to bring back stress relief.
Correct.
I'm totally okay with that.
I am too. But Robert said no?
Yeah, Robert
Wait,
said
does
no.
that mean threat level midnight could end up in the end? Because again, I don't
No, threat level
No,
midnight.
that means threat level midnight will be
No,
on
but
the
I'm
list.
saying is if we don't
Unless
do
you
this,
save it, because
okay.
Robert also has a save.
I love threat level midnight. It just doesn't belong in the top 10 in my opinion.
So you're okay with the move?
So you're okay.
Yes, I'm okay. I was just ready to stop her at all costs before I realized what she was asking.
What
And
about
Tim?
Tim?
Up to
She's
Tim.
not asking much.
That's fine
Tim.
Okay.
because I have a kill.
Oh, Jesus.
Actually, I forgot you guys were over on that monitor there. I
Okay.
can actually.
I was
look
gonna
at
kill stress. I was gonna kill threat level midnight at some point. So
Yeah.
now we just got another
It was
bullet.
doomed from the start. So
Boom.
I
Okay.
still saves. I had keep my save.
I'm
but-
actually very okay with that for now.
yeah.
Now I want to kill stress relief. No, just kidding.
I mean, you could.
I know I could. I don't want to.
I'm just causing all kinds
Actually,
of
no, you
chaos
can't.
today.
She
You
saved
can't-
it, so
You
she
can't kill an episode after it's been saved. So technically, that was her save.
You
Does that
guys
include,
should-
does that
you
include
should-
stuff that wasn't killed though? Like if it,
No,
something
no.
was, if it was just through vote?
Yeah, it's right now it could be killed because nobody had done it before. She just saved it once. Money was someone killed it and I saved
Right.
it, so it's locked.
Right.
Got it. Okay.
So someone can still kill stress relief.
I ain't
Or at
killing
least
shit.
in the parameters that we have set up, that's the way.
Yes.
I ain't
I'm
killing
sorry
nothing.
for creating such a chaotic experience.
I'm sorry.
You got a better episode in there though.
Yeah.
Let's talk about garage sale.
Okay.
Yeah.
I said
Now
no.
going back to garage sale, I do really like garage sale. I do think that it is peak for Michael and Holly, and anytime we see Michael and Holly is a yes for me. So I'm going to say yes on garage sale.
All right, Maxwell.
I'm going to say no. It's a lovely episode. Everything with the magic beans is great. I think the proposal is beautiful. Probably could have been Steve's last episode. It wasn't. It is Holly's. It just didn't make my list. There's only 2 slots left. So with respect to the episode, I'm passing.
All right. So, what was that?
I think it still goes on because
It still goes on because, Tim,
Yeah.
Jen, and
Unless Robert or
yeah.
Jen, well, unless Robert wants to kill it.
unless Robert and Maxwell would like to kill it.
I'll get the
I've used
kill.
my kill.
Oh, okay, Robert.
I'll get the killing eventually.
Well, this is very interesting because we are down to one last spot.
Am I able to kill after the 10th position has been played?
Yeah.
Yes. Before we start ranking, we'll do one last pass for.
Yeah,
do you
there's
wanna
a final
kill?
call if you.
But that means then I got to throw one of mine in that I think is better than one of those, right?
Well, it's whoever's up next gets to.
No, it's
throw it.
whoever's up next gets to nominate.
So right now it'd be
No,
Jen's
but if we
next.
clear it out, we have to.
It'll be whoever
Right.
was next in the line.
Whoever was next
Yeah,
in line will nominate.
Who's next in line? Because I
Well,
feel like I haven't thrown.
Right
yet.
now I'm
Jen
in,
is next.
but there's an
Yeah.
open spot, so
I'm gonna. Okay,
I
I'm
feel
just
like it'll land
gonna.
on me. Let's keep going.
I'll just do something right now, and I'm gonna kill stress
I ain't
relief
killing
now.
shit.
I'm gonna kill stress relief unless someone
No.
wants to save it. Unless Robert wants to save it.
I ain't saving shit.
Okay, so stress relief is gone. Sorry.
So all of that just to kill stress relief again. Tim is the master of chaos. And Maxwell looks like he wants a punch.
I don't know what I expected.
All right, Jen.
But now we have 2 spots left, guys. Come on.
okay. This has never happened to me before, but this is my last nomination because we have talked about all of my list, and I don't expect this to get on here, but I pretty much put this on because it seems to be a common consensus that this show went off the rails as soon as Steve left, and I do not think that's the case. And my conclusion is really because the finale of this series is pitch perfect in terms of what they actually managed to do, considering how many different storylines they had to tie up, and everyone gets a moment, and it's freaking beautiful. But yeah, it's like a 1-year jump after the episode before it, where the documentary is airing, and now it's like catching up of where is everybody now? And it's just a series of like everyone's kind of in like the perfect position for them, and at the same time, it's also Dwight and Angela's wedding, and you get Michael coming back to be the best man, and which is just the best use of that's what she said in the entire show, of Dwight going like, "Oh, I didn't think you'd come," and that's what she said. So it's beautiful. I absolutely love what they did with Andy, because, as I said earlier, they kind of assassinated his character when he needed to be offset doing other things, but they brought it back around. He had a complete meltdown of doing the acapella sensation thing and having I can so just sit here and cry, and became like a meme on the internet. But from that, he became like this sob story, but also uplifting, and got his dream job at Cornell, and that's beautiful. So like the moment where they're sitting there waiting to do like the talking with after the documentary has aired as a special thing, and they're all sitting there and there's nobody in the theater, and they're like, no one's gonna come, this is dumb, nobody cares. And Andy's like, oh, I'll go out and tell them we don't want to do it or whatever. And he goes out and sees that it's a ton of people waiting. They just haven't opened the door yet. And everyone just starts doing the, it's just a beautiful moment. I absolutely love that. And Erin gets to meet her birth parents, which, when are you not like excited to see that Joan Cusack is your birth mom, apparently?
And Ed Begley Jr. as her dad.
Jr. as her dad, and they have the same dance moves at the wedding.
Same question, but about your dad.
Good. But yeah, like everything hits just so good, and Ryan and Kelly running off into the distance, and Nellie steals Ryan's baby. Like there's so many weird things that shouldn't work but do, and finally, like they kind of tie up the Pam and Jim conspiracy in the final seasons of everything's kind of fallen to shit, but Pam finally is like, we're gonna go and join Athlete and everything and try to start a new life, and it's just beautiful. And Michael has my kids, it's like my kids all grew up and married each other. It's every parent's dream. Like that's so weird, but so quintessentially Michael. So I think it's just a beautiful way to wrap up what is one of America's most popular series, even though it's technically a spin-off of a British take. So yeah, kudos to the entire team for managing to pull that off.
All right, we start with Robert. Finale, sir. Where are you at?
Yeah, it's in my list for sure. That's what she said. The final That's What She Said. The whole build up. The what is it? The Guten prank? Is that
Guten Pranken or something like that?
Guten Pranken, yeah.
Guten Pranken. Bringing back the stripper. He wants an onion loaf for the table.
Onion loaf for the table.
Terrible.
Last time she's not a waitress.
Meredith's son, and it's the same damn kid.
Oh my god.
He's also in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
I'm not here. Yeah, right. Get them drunk. They get him drunk. But anyways, of course, like it's very well done. Yes, I have a couple gripes when it comes to certain things playing out. I wanted to be a little bit better, but I completely get it. I understand it. The ending is beautiful. Having Dwight end up with Angela and Dwight be manager, this story belongs to Dwight, in my opinion. Yes, yeah. I understand it's more of a group, an ensemble when it comes to The Office. It absolutely is. But for me, beginning to end, watching the series as many times as I have, Dwight is, for me, the primary character from beginning to end. And there's, I think Dwight is in every single episode, where there are some with majority of the cast is not there in that episode. And Dwight is there from beginning to end. And it does end with his wedding. He's the manager. He fires Kevin. Kevin gets and Toby. And he's just
bye, Toby.
Bye,
At
Toby.
11 and you get home by 7.
At least I get chocolate. Yeah, you never saw me show me doing my origami. I bet Ryan would have been okay with that. Origami. But yeah, the finale is perfect. Of course it belongs. It's a quintessential episode to cap it off. We're never gonna get that ever again, no matter what they try and do.
All right. What about you, Vanessa?
It wasn't in my top 10, but I really do like this episode because I think it does close out the Office very perfectly for The Office. It doesn't like make The Office where, oh, these people no longer have jobs and it ends. Like it's still like in this, it feels like it's still continuing on, but people are moving on to different things. and I just love the way that they finished it, especially with all the different talking heads that they had with each character having certain things that they say.
Each one is like better than the next. It's so funny. Like they keep one-upping each other.
Yes, like I love Andy's when he's like, I wish we knew that we were in the good old days before we actually left them. I love that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so true. And just him getting a little bit of redemption as well, especially when he did the commencement speech at Cornell and doing, oh, I just so can sit here and cry, and them all coming together in that moment was perfect. I love it. And then Pam getting to take the picture of the
we go to Maxwell finale.
Yeah, this was on my list. I love so much about this episode. Endings are difficult, and we've seen time and time again, whether or not they're actually bad, people are particularly critical when it comes to series finales of long-running shows because there's so much expectations and so many things that people want to see or hope to see. And I think even though a lot of people don't love the last 2 seasons of The Office, I do, for the most part. I think everyone pretty much agrees that regardless of that, the finale kind of nailed it. It has the emotional crescendo that we need. It's hilarious. It brings back so many great characters. And like you said, it's not a real ending. It's okay, people make changes, people grow, and life goes on, which I think is the best kind of ending for a sitcom. I'm sure now, all these years later, Dwight is still managing Dunder Mifflin Scranton, and Jim and Pam are thriving in Austin, and Kevin's probably happier and more successful owning his bar than he ever was, being the worst accountant. Michael's little return is perfect. I didn't get to at my bachelor party, but I wish I got to shoot a rocket launcher. I mean, that just seems awesome. So yeah, it's a fantastic episode. And I love too that they brought back Ken Kwapis to direct it. He, started out directing the pilot and the second episode. He directed a lot of episodes through, I want to say, the 5th season. He was like a big part of establishing the style and the tone of the series. And then he kind of left to go do other stuff. And then getting him back to come wrap it all up is a really nice sort of full circle closure for the series. So yeah, it's a yes for me.
And Timothy.
Yeah, big yes. This was high up on my list. I love it so much. Perfect ending to the show. Everyone's like lines that they give in their final moments. Like I pulled up Creed's because I just wanted to actually like say it, but he's like, Creed's like, it all seems so very arbitrary. I applied for a job at this company because they were hiring. I took a desk at the back because it was empty. But no matter how you get there or where you end up, human beings have this miraculous gift of making that place their home. And I think that kind of like
and then the cops take him away.
And the cops just take him away. He's like, let's go. But he sings this song too, which is beautiful because he's
which is his song.
He's an actual it's funny. The funny thing about the show, a lot of the characters' actual names are their names in the show.
They changed the last name.
Some of them don't use the last names, but like Creed uses the same last name, and he was an actual singer in the band The Roots. That was like a real thing. And like the Grassroots, and he
different,
not the Roots, not the legendary Roots.
Not the Roots. The Roots is also great, though. Check them out. But I mean, it's a perfect episode. I mean, Michael coming back is incredible. I think it's perfect amount of I selfishly wanted him to like come back to the office with everyone, but I'm glad it didn't because it's just perfect the way they used
it. Made sense, yeah. I love the line of he has 2 phones because he takes so many pictures of his.
He takes 2 phone plans. 2 phone plans because he takes so many pictures, and like. Yeah, it's just great. I mean, it's all, and then like they're all hanging out in the warehouse with like everybody, and like they all kind of like make eye contact, like let's go up to the office, for one last time. And they all
damn PBS brass intruding on their moment.
Yeah, they all let's take a picture in front of the mural. Everyone gets in, and Pam's like, I kind of just meant us from the office, and they just laugh at her. And
well, like half of those people were people who worked on the show. Like Greg Daniels is there, the directors are there.
I mean, it's beautiful. Andy's moment's incredible. I love Phyllis. Like, I love Phyllis. The bird. She's like, everyone says he's an old grump, but would an old grump make this? It's me. It's Stanley's talking about. I moved to Florida. I just make birds, making birds, and he pulls up his bird.
Kelly and Ryan running into the sunset together.
Yeah. And she's like, Phyllis is trying to fatten up Stanley's replacement. He's like, I'm gonna get.
You'll get there.
You'll get there. Yeah, it's so good.
Bevers
and
it's Maddie Bevers from freaking Broad City is there. Yep. Parking cars at Dwight's house.
There.
Oh, and Devin comes back.
Yes.
Yep.
Which
Full circle, man.
I always like Devin.
Yeah, I got nothing against Devin.
Well, finale makes
So
it.
finale makes it. So
Yay.
we move to Robert. We literally only have one spot left, sir. What do you got?
So all I got, and the thing is, it's part of a bigger arc, and it's one of my favorite arcs, even though I've heard some people don't really enjoy it. But for me, it is the episode that kind of encapsulates that entire arc, and it's the Michael Scott Paper Company. And of course, one of the hugest, biggest turns in the Dunder Mifflin storytelling, the arc that is Dunder Mifflin, is Michael Scott, flying high like a peacock. He can fly so high on his own. And yes, he does it in a very Michael Scott way. But at the same time, it all starts somewhere. And granted, it started in his bedroom, but it started in his home. But it wasn't established until he rolls up in front of Dunder Mifflin, and it's Brittany, bitch, and he's back with a new paper company, the Michael Scott Paper Company, and I can't make it, and he just drives forward because he can't hit the parallel park, which we reshot that in front of Dunder Mifflin on our vlog for the Dunder Mifflin filming locations. But for that, going into the Michael Scott Paper Company, it is the first time that the entire intro theme, the intro video of the actual episode, is centered around the Michael Scott Paper Company. And for me, that change, that anarchy added to the structure that is The Office, and it is surrounded around what Michael has done and shifted focus over to his own paper company, which does end up being successful in the crazy ways that he achieves it. But for me, the Michael Scott Paper Company, Ryan and Pam in The Office as Mike Horter, it's definitely one of my favorite ones that when it comes on, even in that short intro in the beginning where Dwight looks like he's walking into the office, but then he realizes it and he goes into the bathroom. Like, it's just so cleverly done in the sense that you can see that although Michael, as inept as he may be, once again proves that he can be incredibly successful if he puts his mind to it. Because granted, he isn't successful at opening up a paper company. Granted, they do get that one, and he pins the dollar to the wall, and they're so excited about it. But he does end up winning the war, loses the battle and wins the war against Charles Miner and Dunder Mifflin and David Wallace and every single one of them. He ends up winning it. And the Michael Scott Paper Company is the one that I always pin to the wall as the Michael Scott Paper Company arc. Damn it, Charles Miner. And David Wallace, you should have just returned the phone call. But yeah, I love it.
All right, we start with Vanessa.
I do really, really like this episode. It wasn't in my top 10. It would be in my top 20 or top 15 too. I'm going to say yes for this because that intro of it being centric to Michael Scott or the Michael Scott Paper Company is great. I love that part. I also love the fact, like, when they do the little pancake luncheon thing, and then Creed is over here, he's like, they're not even, you got to make them in a round, and he has like some in his like little,
I don't even want these.
I don't even want these. And then you have Meredith up there, I'll take these for my son. Like, it's just so,
for my kid.
I love that part too, but I also love the part where Pam makes a sale. Like, we see her kind of down on herself. She doesn't know what she wants to do. She doesn't want to be a receptionist anymore. And we see that in other episodes. But in this episode, we really get to see her like, I made a sale. Like, she got to do it. She guaranteed a sale. So that's why I like that as well.
We guarantee your satisfaction is our guarantee.
We guarantee it.
So I'm going to say yes for the Michael Scott Paper Company.
All right, Maxwell.
I'm going to say no. I do really like this episode. I love the Michael Scott Paper Company arc. If I were to pick one of these, I might have picked the one where they have the negotiation with David Wallace. However, you've all buried the lead, and to me, what's the best part of this episode, and it might be the clip from the history of The Office I watched the most, and it's Dwight and Andy singing Take Me Home Country Road to Aaron. This is the first episode with Aaron, who, as we know, would become a main character throughout the remainder of the series. And, both Rainn Wilson and Ed Helms are very accomplished musicians, singers. guitar banjo players, and so the two of them singing it, and then to impress her, they do it in German. Andy's picking at his banjo, and then they forget she's there and are just jamming, and then Toby knocks on the glass.
You gotta stop.
I love that whole scene so much. So I'm gonna pass. Also, I love Idris Elba. Charles Minor to me never worked as well as he could have. I don't blame Idris. I think the character just never had a clear sense of purpose in terms of his context in The Office. Although anytime when you get to see Jim be the awkward buffoon makes me happy. Because this episode does have where Jim is like, what is a
rundown?
A rundown. I don't know what that is.
Working hard on this one. You're working hard
on this.
One slot left. I'm going to pass. I'm sorry.
All right, Tim.
Yeah, with one slot left, I'm going to say no, but I do love this episode for the reasons everyone's mentioned, the country roads. I love the fact that you're introduced to Erin for the first time, but her name's Kelly, and there's confusion because there's Kelly, and like he's like, I'm going to call you. What's your middle name? I'm going to call you Aaron and you Kapoor. He's like, can I go by Aaron? It's my middle name. And Kelly's like, you know what my middle name is? Roger Uganda. And I hate it. I hate it. And then Kevin's like, I thought Roger Uganda was a boy's name.
Yeah, that is funny.
So funny. And then, but yeah, I mean, it's a great episode. I love the Michael Scott Paper Company arc, and I think this is probably my favorite episode of the arc as well. The whole pancake thing is kind of a callback to the previous episode too, where Pam goes to Michael's house and he's like, "You want pancakes?" And she's like, "Sure." He's like, "What shape would you like?" And she's like, "Regular, the normal shape, or whatever."
Pancakes.
That's true. Yeah. And then sure enough, he makes them square. So, but yeah, it's a great episode. But I'm gonna pass just to see if there's a chance if we can get anything else on here. But we'll see.
I guess that leaves it on the shoulders of Jen Kemp.
Oh, it actually matters when it gets to me? I'll say yes, because I have no more horse in this race. I've already used up all my things. So I have no more nominees anyway. And this was really close to being on my top 10. I do love this arc. And yeah, this is a really cute moment between like three of the most like combative people in Michael, Pam, and Ryan of just completely different personalities. I love the whole little thing of they're trapped in this tiny room and they all are designated. How about we all just have a corner that we can go to, and that's your time. And Pam's corner is the copier because Michael has his work corner and then his relaxation corner. So it's great. I absolutely love this episode. And yeah, I do love seeing Jim whenever he gets befuddled. And Charles Minor, yeah, every time I rewatch like this section, I always tend to forget. I'm like, oh yeah, it's Idris Elba, like, because it doesn't feel like him because they didn't give him a lot to work with. But he is like the most successful at making Jim realize that maybe he's not as great as he thinks he is. And yeah, the whole rundown thing, I run into stuff like that on my own at work where I'm like, oh, I really should have said something earlier and now I'm in trouble because it's too late to admit anything. So I love when he's just like faxing his dad the rundown. He's like,
faxing my dad a rundown.
So yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff in this. But yeah, the Andy and Dwight banjo Take Me Home Country Road, that is an amazing scene. You totally stole my thunder because I was like, that's immediately what I want to talk about. And it was so great that Aaron just leaves the room. So yeah, it's fantastic. And Kelly, once again, I think this is the episode where she starts doing the Charles, you wanted me, you want me.
Yeah.
What?
It's not a bad idea.
It's pretty good. It's one of her better schemes. So yeah. So it's a yes from me.
Well, so it makes the list. We have our 10. 2 people still have kills left, Robert and Jen.
Damn right.
And Tim and Robert have saves left. So before we start ranking, does either Robert or Jen want to kill anything on this list?
Jen.
I mean, all I wanted to kill was the Michael Scarn, and stress relief is gone. There's nothing I can do about it, so I'm pretty happy. So.
All right, Robert.
Yeah, because I cannot speak for any of my remaining cars to be better than what's already up here.
Who would be next? Just so we know.
Vanessa would be next.
Vanessa would be next.
Yeah, I have 2 left on mine.
Yeah, I am also going to live like, opposite of Tim. And I ain't killing shit. And this is the 10 we're taking. So we're
it's okay because I would have saved probably anything that was going to be killed on this list. So.
All right, so there we have it. These are going to be the 10 moving into the final
whiteboard.
round.
Before we do our ranking, for those who had episodes left, what were they?
I had Cafe Disco.
Yes.
I love Cafe Disco because
I was so mad when I didn't have it on, honestly.
Are we going to talk honorable mentions, or is that later?
Yeah, we're going to say the ones we had that we didn't get to nominate.
Okay.
Yeah, so Cafe Disco is definitely one of them, especially the whole interaction when they're in the dance, and yes, it's great. And then my second one was Classy Christmas. That was the one that I absolutely loved as well because Holly comes back.
We love it here. Watch out for my guns; they're both loaded.
What about you, Tim?
What about me?
Yeah, go to Maxwell.
I was going to go to you last.
All right, fine.
Okay.
Shit, I knew what I was doing, sir.
I have two on my list that I didn't get a chance to bring up, and so we have the first one is Diversity Day, which is season 1, episode 2. I just think it's obviously very early, but it's super super cringy, but I just love it. And it comes back later on when Mr. Brown goes to the Stanford branch and does the similar training because of another incident at the Scranton branch, and it just so many awkward moments when they're doing the whole interaction in the conference room, and that's great. And then the other one is actually my favorite episode, and I didn't even bring it up just because I didn't think it was going to make it, but I actually love the Dundies, which is season 2.
I feel God in this Chili's tonight.
Season 2, episode 1. I just love it so much. I mean, that's when you know the Dundies itself is great. Michael emceeing. You got his version of Tiny Dancer to the Dundies, and Dwight is running the show as the DJ. You have Drunk Pam, Second Drink. I mean, come on, how many people haven't said second drink when you're drinking? Second drink, and she's like my kids. She thanks her kids because she wouldn't have that word without it, and she thanks God, as Jen said, because God is in this Chili's. And I know I know some Chili's actually have a picture of Jenna Fisher as and say that she's not allowed in this restaurant. And I love the manager. The manager guy, I Xeroxed her license and she is no longer allowed in this restaurant. His face. And I love the Dundies. It's a great episode. So those are my two.
All right, Jen, what about you?
Mine were all mentioned, so you're all great.
Robert?
Well, I also had Classy Christmas because Holly does come back, and there's so many damn good lines there that just make me laugh the whole time. And that whole Andy as the Grinch and the way he's running around. You must enter. And then they freaking ends up giving the Christmas story, and like that, the game is over. So yeah, Classy Christmas was one of mine. Night Out, when they go up to New York and they meet up with Ryan and the little Hobbit.
You resemble a Tolkien character.
And the Amazons. Dwight ends up. Call me. I'm not going to call her.
And Ryan's all upped up on cocaine or something.
Yeah, exactly. And Night Out. It's a good one. It's a really good adventure with Ryan and Michael. And then Spooked was my favorite one too, with Robert California.
That's a good one for him.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the ghost story that he tells at the end, and how his freaking son ends up just cracking,
just laughing.
For they were mummies.
That's where you also get the cinema of the unsettling, right?
Absolutely. Good Gabe. But yeah, that's that's probably my favorite so many good Halloween episodes.
It's an hour-long shot of a
squirrel
with diarrhea. Is that also the one where you get Aaron doing the bobbing for apples and she's under the?
Yeah,
that's a different one.
That's different.
I don't know. I
ate two whole apples.
I think that one's a different one.
I think it is a different one, yeah.
Yak Attack. You dress like a laborer. Yeah, I do enjoy that episode. Jim.
All right.
Yeah, it's it.
So I'm going to go to Maxwell. Maxwell, I would like you to reveal your honorable mentions, and then you can take us into what you're going to be doing with the rankings.
Okay. There are two that I had that I didn't get to list. One was already mentioned, which is Cafe Disco. That episode to me is one of the most joyous in the series. Any chance you have in a long-running TV show to have your characters dancing is a good choice. And the other one that I had is Booze Cruise, which is about halfway through season 2. I think it's one of the funniest episodes, but I also love how, of all people, it's Michael who talks to Jim. This is, when Jim is in the heavy days of his pining over Pam. She's engaged to Roy. He doesn't know how to handle it. And he also has Amy Adams' character with him on the cruise. is such a great episode.
And they break up on the cruise too, right?
They do break up on the cruise, yeah. And Dwight thinks he's captaining the ship, even though it's a fake.
Captain Jack.
Someone earlier said season 5 is their favorite season. I think I would have to say season 2 is the best season. I think it's just pretty perfect from beginning to end. When I was putting together this list, my first pass, almost everything was like I could have just named all season 2 episodes for the most part. But
I love season 2.
So here's what we're gonna do. Everyone get either a whiteboard or you can write on your phone or paper and pen. We're gonna rank these from 10 to 1. We'll start with 10. So write what you would vote for to be in the 10th spot. If there's a majority, 3 or more, it'll go. If not, we'll then allow opportunity for people to change their vote if necessary. Luckily, with 5 people, there can't be a tie. So I'm going to everyone write down what you want in number 10. And when you're ready, everyone ready?
Yep.
No.
Nope.
Hold on,
Okay.
we gotta get Roberts in there. We're using the same whiteboard.
Oh, that's fine. Take your time. We've already been going for 3 hours. Why rush now?
I mean, did you expect anything less?
No, certainly not.
We're
All
ready.
right, everyone. All right, 3, 2, 1.
Just chaos here. We can all read.
I said money.
I said money as well.
It looks
Okay.
like
All right, so
I said finale.
2 people voted for money, so money gets the 10th spot. And remember, just because you voted for something 10th doesn't mean you can't change it. You don't have to keep repeating if you decide to shake it up. Give me a thumbs up when you're ready. Thumbs up. Good to go. All right. 3, 2, 1.
Michael Scott Paper.
We have 2 for Garage Sale, 2 for Michael Scott Paper. Does anyone
Wait?
So Jen
Yeah.
should be the tiebreaker then. She would just
Yeah, Jen, you could be the tiebreaker.
Michael Scott Paper and
Michael Scott.
Paper or Garage Sale.
We'll do paper.
Okay. So in 9th, we have Michael Scott Paper Company. And I got to erase. And now we're choosing our 8th. All right. 3, 2, 1.
Pool Party.
Pool Party and 2 for Garage Sale. So once again, Jen, you're the tiebreaker.
I can type everything. We're all California. Yeah, we'll do pool party.
Okay.
May as well just leave it.
I'm going to go ahead and say I'm voting Garage Sale. So we're just putting Garage Sale 7th and moving on.
Okay.
For ease. I think that makes it easier.
Fair enough.
Yep.
Well, why waste any time? All right. So now we're voting for 6th, which. Okay.
Actually, hold on. I need another one.
It's for me, not for you.
I
You
know.
have to nod no when I point to
I
one.
know.
She's like, no. I'm like,
Well, 'cause
yes.
I wrote it in my.
Not your
thing,
choice.
that's why.
Despite sharing the same camera, they are independent voices, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Ready? 3, 2,
Not
1.
by much, though.
I'm just gonna keep riding this.
Beach Games.
We have a tie between Beach Games and Finale, so I'm the tiebreaker. I am going to say Finale. So Finale goes to 6. And now we're voting on 5 with 5 left. The math adds up, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Beach Games.
Beach Games takes it. All right. Beach Games is in 5th place. And for a while, that wasn't going to make it. So look at that.
Yeah.
All right, let me move this up here. We have 4 left. Niagara, Murder, The Dinner Party, and The Injury. Good. 3, 2, 1.
Niagara.
Murder.
Murder.
With 3 votes.
Muck Duck.
Murder is in a 4th spot.
Why did I do that?
We are voting for 3rd place. I have a feeling where this is going. All right, 3, 2, 1.
Niagara.
Oh. So I will say now, when I was thinking about this, looking at everyone's list, the 2 that are left are the 2 I thought would be the top 2.
Yep.
Okay, so because we have 2 left, what we are doing now is you are voting for the one that you want to be in 1st place. And by process of elimination, what you don't for, you would put in 2nd place. It's a big choice. Big decision.
No one can lose with this choice. So
No, it's like 2 superlative episodes.
Is that what you want? You don't know which one you want?
It's a toss-up.
We'll pick one.
What did you write down?
That's what
That
I wrote
works.
down. Okay. Although I spelled that wrong. Give me a second.
You're making me sound dumb. Unlearned.
Okay. So this
If
is
this
the
was
one
Box, I would
This
say
is your
you've
number
done a
one.
good job of doing that all on your own. But it's not Box, and I don't think that, so I won't say it.
Our number 1 episode.
Okay.
All right, let's do it one by one. Tim?
Dinner Party.
Jen?
keep it interesting. The Injury.
Late to the party because you're on the same board?
Robert's is the dinner party and mine's the Injury.
Oh, Maxwell.
No. All right. I don't think this is a surprise to anyone. Dinner party.
Yeah.
Who'd have thought that was gonna win?
I did earlier call it a masterpiece of television. So, well, there we have it. Our top 10 episodes of The Office, as voted on by 5 Office superfans. We have The Dinner Party, The Injury, Niagara, Murder, Beach Games, Finale, Garage Sale, Pool Party, Michael Scott, Paper Company, and Money. And what I love about this list is it really covers like the whole like breadth and run of the series.
Yep.
You have something from season 2
all the way up
through
1, I think.
season 9. So all the different eras of The Office and the different types of episodes are covered. The emotional moments, the cringe, the humor. So I think we did a really nice job.
Whatever.
Anyone else have any final thoughts?
Good job, team. I love The Office. The Office is amazing. I never stop watching The Office. Watch it on Peacock because it actually is tolerable, even with the commercials that they have.
Yeah, they don't put very much commercials in there like you think they would. Like they're very like drawn out too.
And they put a lot of work into their user interface, and especially because it actually has stuff I want to watch now. So there's a couple tweaks where it's like you miss it. You wish you had it on Netflix because it was on Netflix, but like skipping the intro, even though I love the intro, sometimes at 3-4 o'clock in the morning, you don't want the neighbors to hear the music of theme songs.
The bass in the intro can be really loud.
It can be. So until they add that to it, I love The Office.
Awesome. All right, I'm gonna remove the game board. Nice job, Chris.
I want to give a shout out to season 1. I think episode 5, basketball.
Basketball. That's the only one I flagged from season 1.
I love basketball.
That's when I knew I was like, this show's gonna work.
And Stanley comes down the stairs and Michael goes, "Secret weapon!"
His dribble is so
And he
good.
can't play, and then all the people he leaves out can play. Like Kevin's like super good and everything. So yeah, it's great. I love basketball.
I think everyone's always like you have to get through season 1, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, there's still a couple of really good episodes in there. It didn't truly find its voice until season 2, but even in the first episode,
season 1 is super short. You may as well watch it. I think it's 7 episodes, or so it's
6.
And even when they talk about how like, I can't watch it because Steve Carell left. Like, there's so many good episodes.
Oh yeah,
so many good episodes.
Season 9. We love the addition of Plop and Clark.
Plop and Clark are great.
So good.
I mean, it felt clear that they were introducing them to maybe keep going. Which, wouldn't have been the worst thing because they were, very clearly Jim and Dwight 2.0, but at the very least, they continuously called that out. Mm-hmm. So their intentions were clear, and I think Clark Duke is super funny.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah. Shout out to Sex Drive.
Yeah, Sex Drive is great. I also love the TV show Greek that he was on, which I think is a really underseen show that's enjoyable. All right. Well, thank you all so much for watching. I know this went on a long time, but it was a lot of fun. Next week, we'll be back with our unstructured, silly Unwind. Before we get out of here, where can everyone find you online? And do you have anything to promote, Ms. Kemp?
You can find me here most of the time, and you can find me on Twitter and Letterboxd at JK Meme Queen. Jen Kemp. Started by Jen today, but yeah, Jen Kemp.
Awesome. Mr. Franco?
Find me on Twitter, tfranco84. Those numbers are my birth year. And I'll just keep saying that because it's opposite of what Chris Clark says. You'll find me here.
It's always good to go against what Chris Clark says. Let's be real.
And I'm glad I could cause trouble tonight because that's what I do when I play these games.
Yeah,
you were pretty well behaved today, though.
Nobody nominated Scott's Tots, so we're good.
I know, we all won because that was the only one that I was like, I cannot handle that being anywhere near the list, and I thought you would just throw it up there to screw with us. So
the only one I'm really upset didn't make it as stress relief, but I'm really happy with the list. So
yeah,
Robert, where can everyone find you? Anything to promote? What you guys going on your wildly successful channel that makes ours look like a pee?
King Kong, or what is it? Godzilla versus Kong is popping right now on our channel, so make sure you go check out our review, discussion, breakdown, reaction of the newest trailer, and we've got a lot on the channel.
WandaVision on Friday.
WandaVision, Cobra Kai,
all good things.
Mandalorian. Woo, there's a lot going on.
Going back into maybe Harley Quinn season 2.
Yeah, definitely check it all out. Late to the party, officially LTTP. Sometimes officially late to the party, sometimes just late to the party. I don't know. Sometimes we're sassy. But
on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Stardust.
All the social networking gin joints, you know where they are.
Anything else you want to promote, Vanessa, or call out?
We're a symbiote relationship, okay? I just said it.
To give her an opportunity to speak for herself.
Just everything. Yeah,
good job.
MCU,
see what happened?
We're gonna be hopefully we can hit 100,000 this year because of all the MCU. So
hopefully we are, guys. Trajectory 100K. It's within reach. It's gonna happen soon.
Meanwhile, we're over here trying to hit 500. So
hey, man, we were trying to hit 500 at one point too.
Oh yeah, we're a baby of a channel.
Yep.
Thank you. I'm going to go over a couple things that we have coming up. Not everything. I don't want to spend too much more time. Tomorrow night, we're doing a watch along of The Rocketeer. This was picked by our executive producer, Brandy Parker. We love our patrons. Thank you so much. Tuesday night is the long-awaited premiere of Book Nook. I am so excited. This is hosted by myself and Dwayne Burke. Monthly book club style show. We're going to announce the second book on the show, and we'll be talking about the first book in the Ranger's Apprentice series, The Runes of Gorland. We're doing that at a different time than normal. That's going to be 6:30 Pacific, 9:30 Eastern. Make sure you come hang out with us in the chat, because the more of you that have read the book and are hanging out in the chat, the more Dwayne and I and our guest, Sean Sullivan, who as of today was still finishing the book, shame, we'll have to talk about.
The fact that he has 3 copies of that book right now,
I know,
in different capacities.
On Tuesday nights at 12:15 Eastern, I am also on Rachel Silvestrini's channel on a Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist after show. I had to miss last week's, but I will be back this week. Love that show. And enjoy talking about it with Rachel and Lindsay. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then Wednesday, Suddenly Soundtracks is back. We're doing Rent. This was picked by our Patreon, Brandon Buckingham. So on behalf of myself and Jen and Tim and Robert and Vanessa and our faceless voice, PJ, who you can find on Twitter at PJ_Campbell and other social platforms, we say thank you. Stay safe. Wear your masks.
Wear your fucking mask. I want to get through this shit.
Yes.
That's what she said.
Yeah. Oh, there it is. I mean, I guess a mask is just a condom for a penis condom, right? Or a mask is a condom for your face?
I was like, wait, if a condom is not a penis condom, what are we talking about?
Go the credits.
I got there eventually. And on that note, we will see you tomorrow. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Please leave this office.
Do we get any sort of souvenir?
Get out of my office!
I'll be back.
I gotta pay.
Throw me a frickin' bone here. I'm the boss. Need the info.
Shut the fuck up, Donnie.
Heavy is the head that eats the crayons. I'm gonna take a nap. See you in 10 hours.
Dude, I almost had you. You almost had me. You never had me. I like your style, dude. End of line.